All right. We are on the record in State of Indiana versus Richard Allen, 08C01-2210 MR1. I'll show that the defendant's here in person with counsel, Mr. Rozzi, M.R. Baldwin. The state is here by the elected prosecutor, Mr. McClelland. Gentlemen, are we ready to proceed?
Rozzi, yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Before we get started, I'll just remind everybody about the courtroom decorum order. You've all been very kind and waiting for us as we had some discussions in chambers about how things would be proceeding today. I'd like to start by advising everyone, we've had the opportunity to review the file and to have some discussions in chambers about the confidential pleadings that have been filed with the court over the last several months. With the agreement of counsel, and I do appreciate the agreement of counsel, I will be entering an order sometime next week that will unseal all of the pleadings that have been submitted to the court. My court executive will create a web page and I will provide that web page address to counsel. We will download all of the unsealed documents to that web page and then they will be available to whomever wishes to review what has previously been deemed to be confidential. I would remind the attorneys that they are still working under the gag order that prohibits comments and discussions with the media. I know that we're here on a motion to suppress evidence and a motion to reconsider the safekeeping order. I'd like to proceed with the motion to reconsider the safekeeping order, but consistent with our discussions in chambers, the motion to suppress evidence will be continued to be reset. I know we didn't come up with a date yet, but we will, before the conclusion of the hearing, come up with a date to reset the suppression hearing. I would ask the defense attorneys to file the Franks v. Delaware notice to the state and then we can reset the suppression hearing at that time. So, Mr. Rozzi, Mr. Baldwin, are you ready to proceed on the motion to reconsider the safekeeping order?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. McClelland, you're also prepared?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Judge, just by way of a brief opening.
Yes.
I guess the first issue that maybe the court might want to tackle is the burden of proof. We're kind of in this kind of weird situation here where we've got the Safekeeping Act, which is, in Indiana is IC 35-33-11-1, and clearly, there was a pleading that was filed by the former sheriff, Mr. Leesenby, back in 2022, that essentially asked for relief under that statute. And basically, the allegations in that pleading, as you know, are, "Hey, Judge, we got a situation here where there's a lot of media coverage and we're concerned about that and just the burden that places on our sheriff's department and the system at large, or as a whole here in Carroll County. And number two, that we don't feel like we have the manpower or the staffing to address the needs that might exist in terms of detaining Mr. Allen and transporting him. I think those are really the two pillars upon which their pleading is based. The court also knows, just by looking at the record, that the former judge, the Honorable Judge Diener, who presides in this court on a daily basis, issued an order essentially granting the sheriff's request to engage the safekeeping statute, and did that without any type of an evidentiary hearing, nor was there any. Were there any affidavits filed or any sworn statements or anything of that nature that was offered up to the court to support the allegations, if you will, or the concerns is what? How I would refer to them in the sheriff's motion. And so that leaves us in the situation where, really there's been no due process of fearing of evidence that supports the motion. And then beyond that, I, of course, procedurally file a motion to modify. I probably could have couched that motion as a motion to dismiss or terminate or some other, word that maybe fit the circumstances a bit better, but I really do think, generally, it's the sheriff's burden to put on some evidence that the safekeeping order is appropriate. Now, with that being said, I'm not here to try and ambush the sheriff or the prosecutor or whoever is, defending, in a sense, that petition. I'm willing to put on evidence, if that's the most orderly process for the court, but I do think that it's important to understand that it's really not our burden, and the statute's pretty clear that there needs to be a showing that Mr. Allen, in this case, is in some imminent danger or serious bodily injury, a pretty high standard. And so I'm prepared to present some evidence in that regard, but in fairness, I'm not sure it's my burden, but I'm looking to the court for some direction. And in the same breath, of course, I would ask for a separation of witness order. I think I've rounded up most of the people that I kind of tried to pick people out, but I see a few of the witnesses that I'm gonna be calling here.
Okay.
I might check in the hallway to make sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
Is Sheriff Schroeder in here? Okay. Maybe if you could grab him, just because we don't want, let's make one admonishment and
Sure.
get on with it, so to speak.
Judge, if I might interject,
Yeah.
I already had my witnesses step out, 'cause defense counsel made us aware in chambers that he's gonna ask for this motion. I can have them step in quickly, Judge, just so they can have the admonishment.
Okay. Okay. Are all the witnesses now in the courtroom that would be called on the safekeeping order?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Those of you that have been subpoenaed or know to be a witness in this proceeding, you are advised there is a motion for separation of witnesses. The import of that means that you cannot talk about your testimony with anyone other than the attorney that called you, you cannot be in the courtroom during any other witness's testimony, and you are not permitted to discuss the testimony of other witnesses amongst yourselves or with anyone else. Is that a sufficient admonishment from your perspective, gentlemen?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step back out in the hallway, please.
May I continue?
Yes, sir.
Judge, just by way of a brief summary of kind of what I think you're gonna hear today, our position rests, in part on some basic, statutory law in Indiana. I've already noted that 35-33-11-1 Safekeeping statute. Second, we believe that, this is a circumstance where there are some equal protection issues and due process issues under the 14th Amendment. And some of that just pertains to the disparity in treatment that I believe Mr. Allen is receiving versus others that are similarly situated. The due process argument, obviously, is similar to what I talked about earlier, just there's got to be some evidentiary showing. And then Mr. Allen's Sixth Amendment right to counsel, I think, is kind of in play here, and that is to say that there have been some hurdles that I think you're gonna hear about with regard to us having access and getting access to him and having some confidential access to him, and, those types of things that I think kind of are wrapped around the Sixth Amendment. I alluded to this earlier. The sheriff's request that was filed back in 2022 is primarily asking for relief for what I would consider to be maybe practical reasons that, this community was inundated with media requests and it's just been overbearing, essentially, on the community, but I don't think it's, there's no information or allegations. There is no information. There are no allegations in this petition that pertain to the law as it relates to safekeeping and the standard. There's no doubt today that, in response to our request, one of the things the court's gonna hear is that Mr. Allen has been incarcerated and, while incarcerated, has made some incriminating statements. He's implicated himself in this crime. Of course, we're aware of that. I believe that the state's gonna introduce that evidence to try and garner up some emotional support here. But at the end of the day, anything that exists is generic, at best, and it's the state's, or it's the defense position that whatever has been said by him in the last several months is entirely inconsistent with the approach that he had taken leading up to his arrest in this case, including all of those interviews with the police, and for months after he was incarcerated. And, in fact, to the extent that the state offers up any evidence of these statements, you're gonna see, at some point in this case, you're gonna hear that, at 1 minute he's saying one thing, and the next minute he's saying something totally opposite. So, they're generic discussions and admissions at best, and, the court should know that that's coming. We're not hiding from any of that. We're of the position that his mental and physical state is deteriorating, and that whatever he's doing and the actions that he's engaging in, frankly, are largely related to that circumstance. Beyond that, the defense's goal today is to try and find a practical solution to what really shouldn't be a problem, and that problem is that we don't have convenient access to our client because of the distance and a lot of these hurdles and some of the, I'll call them conditions, that are existing in the facility where he's housed, and there's no reason why this should even be an issue in this case. It's never been an issue in any other case that I've dealt with in the 23 years I've been doing this, and there's no reason why Mr. Allen should be treated differently, why I shouldn't have access to him, why Mr. Baldwin shouldn't have immediate access to him, and why our team or staff, our support staff, shouldn't have instant access to him. And I'm asking the court today to follow the law and then issue a practical ruling, a ruling that's practical and addresses that problem, so we can get on with the merits. And that's really why we're here today. Thank you.
Mr. McClelland.
Judge, the state's in a unique position because I don't represent the sheriff's office. I don't represent the DOC. My real interest in this, Judge, is to protect the interest of the sheriff in terms of part of the reason for the safekeeping is that we're short on manpower to be able to protect Mr. Allen and to be able to transport him back and forth to hearings. And that's really the state's main concern, that he's protected while he's in custody and that's protected when he's transported back and forth to custody. Because, as Mr. Rozzi said, the evidence and all the briefings are going to come out today, and the evidence is going to come out that he has made admissions. The admissions put him in heightened security risk. That's just the reality. If he's moved to a jail that's closer to our community, there's likely more people who are emotionally tied to this case. And so the state's real goal is to keep him safe and to make sure that when he's transported that he's safe. Also, the state wants to address some of the allegations that the defense outlined in their motion, some of the allegations against the DOC. Some of the allegations are Mr. Allen's being treated unfairly or differently from other inmates, and that's just not the case. The reality is he's been treated better than other inmates there. He's not getting any ill treatment because he's the defendant in this case or for any reasons. And so that's really the state's main role in this hearing, Judge, and that's the evidence the state intends to introduce.
All right. You may call your first witness, Mr. Rozzi.
Thank you. I would call Chief Deputy Tobe Leesenby.
Witness sworn.
1 second, Your Honor.
Take your time.
All right. What's your name?
Tobe Leesenby.
And, Mr. Leesenby, just tell the court what's your current occupation and position.
I'm currently with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, serving as appointed Chief Deputy by Sheriff Tony Liggett.
Okay. And is it fair to say, just to kind of get past the technicalities or formalities here, that you were the former sheriff here in Carroll County for several years?
Yes, sir, because 2015 and 2022.
Okay. So in November, or in 2022, in late 2022, you were the acting sheriff. Is that right?
The elected sheriff, yes, sir.
Okay. And is it fair to say that you filed a motion essentially asking for a safekeeping order with this court back in November of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And have you had a chance to review that MO time in advance of coming in here today?
Briefly, yes.
Okay. Would it help you to have the motion in front of you as I ask you questions to refresh your memory?
If I may please.
May I approach?
You may.
Just take a look at this document and let me know if that's from, if you're familiar with that document.
Yes, sir. I'm familiar with this document.
All right. And is that the motion that I've just alluded to that was filed by you, signed by you, and filed back in November of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Did you draft this motion yourself?
Actually, I had presented a similar motion to request, I should say, to the court, and as I recall, the court had actually come up or provided this particular document.
Okay. So let me see if I can ask a more direct question. Did you prepare that motion in your office on a computer, essentially?
I prepared a similar motion to this. Again, the wording was adjusted by the court.
Okay. So you prepared a document that we, presumably, don't have here today, right?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay. And you presented that document to the court?
Yes.
And then, this was the result?
Right?
This document?
Yes.
And then, you were asked to sign this?
Yes.
Who asked you to sign this?
The court.
Who's the court?
Judge Diener.
Okay. And that's how this essentially became to be?
Yes.
Was a process?
Yes.
Okay. The information that's contained in this motion, did you offer up all the information, or was some of that offered up by Judge Diener and others?
The wording, if I understand you correctly, was information that I had originally documented it in a previous request.
Okay.
And so the wording was simply adjusted in his document, that the wording was the same. It's just that adjustments were made by the court with this document.
Okay. Did you provide to the court any additional documentation in support of, I'm gonna call these allegations, in support of the SE allegations before this document was finalized, let's say?
Again, the only thing I recall is providing, again, similar information as it.
Okay. Well, why don't we just try to get to the brass? Get down to the brass tacks here. Did you offer up any emails with threats on Mr. Allen's life or on jail staff or anything like that to the judge with your original pleading?
No, sir. The only thing that I had mentioned was obvio usly, this being high profile. Again, it's similar to this wording.
Okay. So the way I understand is this. You didn't offer up any supporting documentation at all other than just your thoughts about high-profile cases in the media, all of which is, frankly, referenced in here?
Yes.
You didn't receive, in advance of this particular circumstance, any audio threats from anyone that you shared with the judge. Somebody called your sheriff's department and said something on the phone?
No direct threats to me as sheriff of the county.
Okay. Did you provide up any kind of digital media communications or anything like that to the judge before this was finalized?
No, sir.
All right. And you acknowledge that Mr. Allen ultimately was arrested, I think it was October 26th. Does that sound about right? Of 2022.
Approximately, yes.
Okay. Let me just direct your attention again to this. To paragraph 3 of this pleading, if you would. Paragraph 3. I'm gonna read it to you and ask you some questions about it. Okay?
Affirmative response.
It says, the defendant has been charged in a high-profile cause, creating.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so is it fair to say that your concerns were based on potential threats, not any material threats to your life?
Correct.
Or Mr. Allen's life?
Correct.
Or the lives of any of the law enforcement officers involved in this case?
Correct.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 4. I'm gonna read that to you and ask you some questions. You okay with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Paragraph 4. In that the defendant has been charged in said high-profile cause, it is felt by the undersigned potential safety and security concerns exist involving not only the defendant, but also jail facilities in Carroll and White counties within the state of Indiana. Your words, right?
Yes.
Again, is there anything, was there, Strike that. Were there any specific material threats made on you, your staff, or on Mr. Allen's life that support those words?
No, sir.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 5. I'm gonna read that to you and ask you some questions. You okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Because of the aforementioned reasons, as Sheriff of Carroll County, Indiana, I cannot provide the services, attention, or supervision necessary to protect or meet the defendant's needs or to ensure, protect, and guarantee the safety or security of the defendant, staff, or facilities. Those are your words, right?
Yes, sir.
And do you acknowledge that there hasn't been any immediate threat on your facility, even as we sit here today?
Yes.
Certainly not before this.
Correct.
Okay. So the crux of your motion was actually more along the lines of, "Hey, Judge, I just don't have the manpower, so to speak, to deal with this. Can you help?" Is that a fair kind of summary?
A portion, yes.
All right. So is it accurate to say, well, strike that. Is it accurate to say that after Mr. Allen's arrest, that he was actually moved out of Carroll County and detained somewhere else?
Yes.
And did that happen basically immediately?
Yes.
Did you make those arrangements with the sheriff of White County to have that done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that was all kind of coordinated ahead of time?
Yes.
And so did he ever actually spend any time in the Carroll County jail?
As I recall, maybe one night.
And so tell the court what arrangements you made to have him placed in White County.
Just a matter of simply having direct communication with Sheriff Bill Brooks and explaining my concerns of potential safety and security of our facility and ask him if he could temporarily hold Mr. Allen for us.
Okay. And were you confident that Mr. Brooks and his facility was adequate to hold him on a temporary basis?
At that time, yes.
Did you have any belief or any information that suggested that he was gonna be moved somewhere else within a day or 5 or 10 or any amount of time?
Potentially involving the safekeeping aspect, I felt at some point he might be moved.
But you didn't have any guarantees at that point?
Correct.
Do you routinely move offenders from your jail to other jails in the normal course of business?
Yes, sir.
Is that sometimes based on overcrowding?
Mainly because of overcrowding, yes.
Is it also sometimes based on the fact that you might have a co-defendant?
Correct, sir.
Are there ever reasons why inmates get moved around to other jails?
Those are the two primary.
Okay. Your jail happens to be unusually small, right? Is that?
Very small, sir.
Yeah. One of the smaller ones in the state, I assume.
Correct. Our maximum capacity is 34.
Okay. So do you routinely lean on Whitty County, for example, to house inmates for you?
Mainly White County, and then sometimes either Tippecanoe or Clinton.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Sometimes also Tippecanoe or Clinton counties.
Okay. Tippecanoe is a pretty expansive jail with a lot of resources, right?
Right.
And White County's a newer facility as well?
Newer compared to ours, yes.
Sure. Okay. They have more resources over there?
Yes.
Do you ever farm anybody out to Cass County?
We have had a few. In fact, we may have one or two there now.
Okay. And they've got a much larger facility than you have?
Newer addition, yes.
Okay. And just recently opened, right?
Right.
In the last few months.
Yes.
In fact, right?
Right.
Okay. Is it fair? I'm looking at paragraph 7 of this pleading. If I could draw your attention to that, take a look at that, and let me know when you're ready.
Yes, sir.
So is it fair to say that at the time that you filed this motion, that you were willing to accept responsibility for transporting Mr. Allen to, and from wherever he ended up?
Yes, or coordinating with DOC.
Okay. So it says here, I will be responsible for transporting or for coordinating, right?
Right?
So you were willing to be a part of all that?
Yes.
At the time when you petitioned the court, did you have any interest in ensuring that Mr. Allen was going to be treated like other pretrial detainees?
That's the ultimate goal, if you will, for all detainees is the safety and security of those individuals. So that would include Mr. Allen.
So the answer's yes?
Yes.
Did you ever go to Westville to visit that facility before he was transported up there?
No.
Since he's been there, have you ever gone up there? Not necessarily to visit Mr. Allen specifically, but to go up and take a look at the circumstances under which he's detained?
No, sir.
And you've been aware, I assume, for several months now, that there's been an ongoing call it a feud, if you will, about his detention circumstances?
From what I've seen of media reports, yes, sir.
Okay. Are you aware of anyone else in your department that has gone up to Westville to visit Mr. Allen? Not him and talk to him, but visit and inspect the circumstances up there since he was arrested?
I'm not aware, no.
Was it brought to your attention at some point that I had worked out an arrangement to have Mr. Allen moved?
Yes.
Okay. And was it your understanding that Mr. McClelland was okay with that occurring?
It's my understanding Mr. McClelland's position was that that was a sheriff decision.
Okay. You've not heard that he was okay with that. You think he was?
No.
Punting to the sheriff's department?
Right?
Okay. And is it your understanding that the court was amenable to doing?
I mean, I know that the court had entertained the request, but I don't know the court's position.
All right. You acknowledge that Cass County was really the centerpiece in terms of where to try to move Mr. Allen when these discussions were ongoing?
Yes.
And that's a facility that's roughly how far from here?
Time-wise, roughly 20 minutes.
And was there a point in time when you were involved in any decision as to whether or not to move him to Cass County?
No.
Okay. Was that, presumably, your superior?
Yes.
Sheriff Liggett?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a transport officer that works at the jail, or did you when you were sheriff?
Yes.
As a full-time officer?
Yes.
Okay. Does that transport officer travel to and from various jails and prisons, picking up, moving offenders, and things of that nature?
Yes. However, I should interject that due to many county jails, due to low labor force, if you will, that individual has been placed into a rotation, so we...
Okay. But that's something that's normal in jail systems, right? I mean, you're constantly moving inmates around.
Sure.
All right. Do you have any kind of emergency response unit or SRD team or anything like that works for the sheriff's department?
No, sir.
Like a drug interdiction team that serves warrants on an emergency basis?
No, sir.
So if you're dealing with high-profile stuff where you're serving a warrant and there's suspected to be guns and drugs, do you seek out the assistance of other agencies?
Yes, sir.
And is that something that you do routinely in this business?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about attorney-client visits at the Carroll County Jail. Okay.
Yeah.
Do those happen fairly regularly?
Yes, sir.
And when attorneys visit the jail, is it fair to say basically you walk in and you push a button and talk to the jail staff, and they make arrangements for you to come in and visit your client?
Yes, sir.
And is it fair to say that that's really not any more complicated than parking on the street down here, right in front of the door, and just walking 10?
Yes.
Are you aware of any circumstances where attorneys that enter your jail to speak with clients are patted down, or they're walked through a metal detector, or anything like that in advance of meetings?
They're asked if they have any items of potential contraband or cell phones, or they're asked to leave cell phones outside of that meeting room. And so overall, security-wise, yes, they're not necessarily patted down, if you will, but simply asked if they have any particular items on them.
Forgive me, but I've obviously been in that jail and visited with clients before. Do you agree that a lot of those meetings happen in the room? There's kind of a library in your jail where there's a big table and some chairs?
Correct.
It's a fairly sizable room?
Yes, sir.
And it's a pretty comfortable place to sit and communicate with clients, right?
Right.
And that's kind of the norm when attorneys come to visit, right?
Correct.
Are you aware of any circumstance as where any of your staff or Sheriff Liggett's staff now, I understand there's this transition, have mandated that these visits be video recorded by your staff?
Obviously we have cameras in our facility, but I'm not aware of any mandated recording.
Where one of your jail staff holds a camcorder and walks around and follows the inmate and the attorney and videotapes his stuff.
Nothing I've ever witnessed.
Say that again, please.
Nothing I've ever witnessed.
Okay. Do you believe that there are visits that occur with inmates routinely where the inmates are not shackled? Let's say like Mr. Allen is here today?
Within the confines of the building, correct. Yeah, they're not shackled in...
No leg shackles?
Right. The only time we obviously utilize that type of equipment is when we go outside of the building with a defendant.
Sure. No belly chains?
No.
No handcuffs, box handcuffs like he's wearing today?
No.
You ever see anybody moved around the jail with like a leash or a chain on, hooked to them, where an officer's walking them around?
Not within the building, no.
That would all be very unusual in terms of attorney-client visits in your jail?
Right, yes.
Very convenient to walk in there and meet with a client and have discussions, right?
Yes, sir.
And do you agree that lawyers are able to bring documents in, like discovery?
Correct.
Laptops?
Yes.
Anything that they basically needs, pens, pencils, those kinds of things?
Yes.
And does your staff there allow inmates to drink water when they're meeting with their lawyers? Is there any problem with that?
No.
Just basic needs, right?
Right.
To have a conversation with a lawyer.
Correct.
All right. May I approach?
You may.
Let me hand you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit A. It's just a photograph of Mr. Allen. I'm sure you recognize that. Yes or no? Just because we're trying to pick up a recording.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you acknowledge that that's a photo that was taken of him.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay. And you know that I've taken some exception to this photo, right?
Yes.
And primarily the condition of his clothing, and just the way he looks?
Yes, sir.
You see his clothing on Defendant's A?
Yes.
Is it obviously soiled and discolored and stained?
There appears to be, yes.
Is this the kind of clothing you will all see on your inmates at the Carroll County Jail? Do they look like this?
No, sir.
You would wash clothes and give the new clothes if
they routinely do that.
They look like these?
Yeah.
You take care of your inmates?
I always try to, yes.
Move to admit A. Defendant's Exhibit A offered.
No objection, Judge.
All right. Without objection, A is admitted. Defendant's Exhibit A admitted.
I have no further questions.
Mr. McClelland.
Thank you, Your Honor. Deputy Leesenby, first of all, how many years in law experience? Or how many years have you been a law enforcement officer?
37.
37 years. And for some of that time, you were the elected sheriff. Is that correct?
Correct.
Throughout that time, you've always dealt with offenders, inmates, people who are charged with various offenses?
Yes, sir.
And also people that have been convicted of those offenses?
Yes, sir.
Even at the Carroll County Jail, people that are convicted are held there weeks, months, sometimes years after their conviction. Is that fair?
Correct.
Is it fair to say the majority of the cases that we have in Carroll County are drug-related? OWI, theft, level felony, and minor misdemeanor cases. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
We don't have someone who's at least alleged to have committed the murder of 2 little girls.
Correct.
In this county?
Correct.
Have you ever had that in your experience?
We have had homicide defendants, yes, in our jail.
And given the notoriety of this case and the kind of level of media attention in this case, when Mr. Allen was taken into custody, did you have concerns about his safety?
Yes.
Now, you had no direct threats of that concerned his safety. Is that correct?
Correct.
But you were concerned that he may be in danger?
Right.
Were you concerned about him being in danger from other inmates?
Potentially.
Our jail doesn't have the Carroll County Jail doesn't have a segregation unit. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so he would have to be housed with other inmates.
Correct.
And did you have a fear that there may be some kind of retribution from those other inmates against Mr. Allen?
Potentially, yes.
Did you have a concern that when he was transported back and forth to the courthouse there may be issues?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Razi asked you about the transport officer. Typically, when you have a transport officer, how many people go to transport another inmate?
Usually it's a one-on-one or one-on-two or more sometimes.
And you talked about staffing issues, and I guess there's been nobody who's been exempt in the sheriff's office at this point who hasn't had to transport somebody.
Correct.
You included, right?
Correct.
The sheriff included?
Right.
And so typically when you transport somebody, it's a one-on-one situation.
Correct.
Would you feel calm at the time that you filed this? Did you feel comfortable transporting Mr. Allen in a one-on-one situation?
No.
The visitations with attorneys and clients, those are videotaped. Correct?
Yes, they have.
There's no audio, but there is
video.
Image videotaping of those meetings. Why is that done?
Again, that's mainly for, if you will, to monitor, mainly for the safety and security of not only the facility, but that individual, that is, because we have had individuals act out against their attorneys, and so we want to obviously provide.
Sure. And when you filed the motion, those safety concerns were in the front of your mind when you filed the motion?
Yes.
And you didn't make the decision to grant the safekeeping. Is that fair?
That's correct.
The court did that, right?
Right.
But you filed the motion with your concerns and outlined those concerns in the motion?
Correct.
Before you signed the motion, did you review it?
Yes.
And so there may have been some, corrections or additional language added to the motion before you signed it, but you had an opportunity to review it before you signed it?
That's correct.
And did you firmly believe the statements in that motion were correct?
I did.
And did you believe those statements in that motion when you signed it?
I did.
When have you asked the Department of Correction to house people for safekeeping purposes before?
Yes.
And in other cases when you do that, do you go inspect the facilities at DOC before they're transported?
Typically I have not. I must comment that I've been to Westville, although some time ago, but I know the general layout, if you will.
Sure.
Of that facility, and so. But this particular case, I did not because I have faith and trust in the Department of Corrections.
Sure. And I guess the question better. Is it routine for you to go inspect the facilities at DOC before you ask that an inmate be transported for safekeeping?
No.
It would seem unusual to me that you would ask for a safekeeping order and, before they're transported, go to that facility, check it out to see if it meets your standards, I suppose, and then allow the inmate to be transported.
Again, I have trust in the Department of Corrections.
Sure.
And their facilities and resources.
Mr. Razi had asked you about if inmates are shackled or handcuffed in your facility. Have you had occurrences where you've had a high-risk inmate where they are shackled during attorney visits?
If we have, it's been some time ago. I can't recall any recent specific incidents.
Would it be was it your policy when you were the sheriff to have if there's a high-risk defendant, that they be restrained in some way when they visit with their attorney?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Mr. Rossi.
Have you had other murderers housed in your jail in the past?
Yes.
And Mr. McClelland asked you if you had any direct threats, and you acknowledged that you hadn't had any direct threats on his life, or yours, or anybody else's, right?
Right.
Did you have any indirect threats on his life, or yours, or anybody else's?
Not indirect, but I guess I will say rumors or social media innuendos.
Okay. Did you send law enforcement teams or authorities out to act on those?
No, because we weren't fully aware of the actual location of those individuals.
And let's talk about when he was transported to White County. Were you aware of the circumstances under which he was housed in White County, the White County Jail?
As far as specifically where he was placed.
Yeah.
Within White County. No. Again, I obviously had trust and still do have trust in Sheriff Bill Brooks.
So you didn't go over there either?
No, but I know their facility.
Okay.
Yeah.
But are you aware that he was isolated over there?
Again, once he was turned over to Sheriff Brooks, at that point that was his call. It's his building.
You don't even know?
I don't.
Did you attempt to call any other sheriffs in any of the other surrounding counties, maybe Tippecanoe, for example, to try and work some long-term arrangement out for him?
No, sir.
And Mr. McClelland asked you about transportation. You said you have this one officer. Does your department routinely ask for assistance from other law enforcement agencies in the course of your business?
Yes.
And you could have sought out that assistance in terms of transporting him, right?
Potentially, yes.
I mean, the ST8 police has been intimately involved in this case for the last 5 or 6 years, right?
Right.
They have far greater resources than your staffing has, right?
Right.
And your department has?
Yes.
Would have been an option?
Potentially.
Mr. McClelland asked you about whether or not it would have been, or whether or not it would have been routine for you to inspect a facility. Do you recall that question?
Yes.
And your answer was?
No.
If you had to do it over again, would you now T&K about inspecting, having been through all this?
No.
All right. I have nothing further.
Mr. McClelland.
Judge, yes, if I may. Sheriff Leesenby, or Deputy Leesenby, do you have concerns of Mr. Allen's safety today if he's placed in the Carroll County Jail?
I do because of our combination of several things, staffing, the concern of additional inmates, and not knowing, and if I may speak, it was a proactive effort on my part in addressing this.
You had to act quickly. Is that fair in saying?
Yes.
He was arrested.
Yes.
There was concern that if he's housed in your jail, what was the concern for his safety? That another inmate would act out against him?
Inmate, or potentially any, outside sources not knowing, who may carry through with some type of an outside threat.
This crime is very closely connected to our community.
Right?
A lot of people involved.
Yes.
A lot of emotion involved.
Right?
And rightly so.
Yes.
And so did that house some of your fear that someone may become too emotionally involved and act out in an inappropriate way against Mr. Allen?
Correct.
And is that fear still there today, still present today?
Yes, I would say so.
As more evidence comes out?
Yes.
Would you say your fear's going to be heightened or diminished?
I would say heightened.
And let's be clear. The admissions he's making in DOC, once those come out.
Right.
That he admitted to these crimes.
Right.
Once that information is public, does that heighten your fear of his safety or diminish it?
Heighten it.
I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Thank you, Chief. You may step down.
Thank you.
Mr. Rossi.
We'll call Max Baker, Your Honor.
Witness sworn.
What's your name?
My name is Max Baker.
And Max, if you would, tell the judge where you live.
I live in Logansport, Indiana.
Okay. And Max, how are you involved in this circumstance? Just give the judge some background.
I began working as an intern at Brad Rossi's office around November last year on this case, just helping him with the burden. There's a lot of work to do on this case, so he needed an intern to help lighten the load a bit.
Okay. So tell the judge what your highest level of education is.
I have my high school diploma from Logansport High School and I'm currently a junior at Indiana University Bloomington.
All right. So you'll be graduating after next year, right? Yes or no?
Yes. Sorry.
No, that's all right. Had you worked in other law offices, even before you worked for me?
Yes. Last summer I worked with Mark Lehman, an appeals attorney in Logansport, Indiana, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay. And do you have some general, intention to pursue an occupation in the legal industry?
Yes. Once I finish my undergraduate degree, I hope to attend law school.
Okay. And just tell the judge generally what the nature of your involvement has been in this case.
Well, it began with helping with the change of venue motion, and then, once we started getting discovery in, obviously the discovery in this case is pretty massive, so I began to help process that and digest a lot of that information. That is my main role, but another one of my roles has also been helping Brad visit and speak with Rick on occasion.
Okay. And is it also true that you've been working with some of the people, most of the people behind me that are kind of sitting here, part of our support staff?
Yeah. It's kind of been a group effort, yeah.
Okay. Have you also been privy to some of the discussions and conversations about Mr. Allen's detention situation and trying to get him moved to another facility?
Yes, I have.
Have you had a chance to be-it? I think you just said you did, but have you? How many times would you estimate that you visited with Mr. Allen up to today's date?
I have visited Rick 4 times while he's been incarcerated.
And can you generally just give the judge some idea of the time frames? I don't expect you to recite the exact dates, but...
Yeah.
Just give her some idea.
Absolutely. So the first visit was on my Christmas break, it was around Christmas time of December last year, and then my last 3 visits have all been in the month of May of this year, once I got back from college.
So 1 visit around Christmas and 3 in the month of May?
Yeah.
Tell the judge, just for you and, well, is it fair to say that you visited with me? We've gone together every time that you've gone?
Yes.
All right. Tell the judge what it takes for you and I just generally to get in Rick's airspace, to get to a place where we can talk to him.
Do you want me to ANS, it has changed during my visits?
Well, let's talk about distance and time and things like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's about an hour-and-a-half drive from Logansport to Westville. That's been a little longer recently cause they've been doing some construction on the roads in between here and there, but yeah. I mean, usually we have to call and give them advanced notice that we will be going
And so when we get to the prison, give the judge some idea of kind of what initially occurs. Well, let's just strike that. Let's talk about the first visit back in December. You recall that visit?
Yes.
Tell the judge what you remember about us getting access to Mr. Allen during the first visit.
Out of all the times we went, it was the least complicated process. Basically, we just kind of walked in. Rossi showed his identification. I kind of, embarrassingly, forgot my wallet that day, left it at the office, so I didn't have my identification with me, so I told the lady at the front desk my name, and then that's really all we had to do, and then we were put in a van and driven to Rick's area of the prison.
What did we take with us, if you recall?
Laptops, phones, work material, I mean all different sorts of things. None of our bags were searched or anything like that.
Yeah. There wasn't any kind of shakedown that occurred in the front at the
Absolutely not, no.
Front gate or anything like that?
No.
All right. And where did we visit with him, if you recall?
We visited, I do believe it was the captain's office. It was somebody's office. It was a pretty large room with a large kind of table in the middle of it.
And how would you describe Rick's physical appearance and demeanor at that visit?
I mean, he kind of looked like he had always looked. I mean, he was not long into his stay at the correctional facility, so not much about his physical appearance had really changed addition. He was still, had some weight on him, still looked healthy, his demeanor was pretty normal, albeit, he was obviously undergoing a lot of stress and that sort of thing, but he looked healthy and normal from what I saw.
And in terms of communicating with him, not specifically, but was he communicative, I should say?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Were we having productive exchanges, attorney-client exchanges?
Yes.
And tell the judge what you recall about the presence of other officers during the first visit, other prison staff.
So, yes, Rick, every time I basically went, he's been escorted by I would say 4 to 6 guards, and, during our meetings, usually some guards hang around where we were meeting. The first meeting, the door was left slightly ajar and a couple of guards were propped up outside, and I knew that cause I could hear their kind of conversations from time to time.
Okay. And so, eventually, YOU said that the next 3 visits you had were in the month of May. Yes or no?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Okay. And let's talk about those visits. Tell the judge, were there changes in the way things occurred at the prison in May?
Yes, there were massive differences.
Okay. Let's talk to the judge about the front gate and kind of what changed there in terms of us getting there.
Oh, yeah. So at the front gate, identification was absolutely required, bags were searched. We were not allowed to take our phones in, we were not allowed to take our watches in, we were not allowed to take laptops or computers in. We got patted down by an officer there, had to go through metal detectors. It was a completely different process, yes.
What were we required to do with our phones?
We were required to leave them in the car. We couldn't.
We couldn't even have them in the building at that point?
Yeah. I remember you had asked if we could put them in a locker and that request was denied. They have lockers for personal belongings right next to the check-in.
Okay. And so where did we meet with Rick, if you recall, during these May visits?
I believe we met in a therapy. It was another type of office, but this one was much, much smaller. It was, I would say, about half the size of the original one.
Okay. Can you just describe to the judge, as we're sitting here, to the best of your ability, like how big of a room are we talking about?
I would say 12 by 6, not big at all,
Okay. Adequate to meet somebody, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But it was a different room altogether?
Yes.
Okay. And describe to the judge what his escort was like, if it was any different than the first time, to the room.
I would, this time there was a video camera that was recording Rick. One of the guards was walking behind him, recording him as he was being taken to our meeting room.
All right. And when you said a video camera, it's kind of old-fashioned, but it was a camcorder. Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
All right. And so is this the first time you'd ever seen this video camera as part of this narrative?
Yes.
All right. Tell the judge how the video camera was employed, so to speak, by the prison staff throughout the visit.
So during our conversations with Rick, there was this pretty big window that overlooked the room. Rick was sat in a plastic chair with no armrests in the middle of the room, and for the entirety of our conversations with our client, the camcorder was held outside the window, kind of bearing down directly at him.
How far was the camcorder from your notepad and your body, so to speak, your person, if you could estimate?
It was a couple of feet. I kind of had to, because the desk was behind, I kind of had to lean over, just to make sure that none of my notes were being.
All right. And so is it. Did I actually? Do you recall me asking to have him sit? Well, strike that. Were there other chairs in the room?
Yes.
Tell the judge what the room was like.
So you have the desk, which I was sitting at, which was right next to that window where he was being recorded from. That desk had kind of a spinny office chair, and then, to the left of that, by where the door we entered was, there were two just cushioned kind of regular chairs, and then there was another desk to the right of the room that also had another kind of spinning desk chair.
All right. And so, did I, at some point, make a request to just have him sit in one of the office chairs?
Yeah. In our second visit, you requested that he sit in one of the padded chairs to the left of the room.
All right. What was the reaction?
They told you no, and they brought in the plastic chair for him to sit in that I referenced to earlier without the armrests.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Oh, yeah. They said no, and they brought in the plastic chair that I referenced earlier without the armrests on it.
Okay. Where'd they put the plastic chair?
Right in the middle of the room.
And where was it relative to the camera?
I mean, directly facing the room.
So he's looking, essentially, right into the camera the whole time?
Yes.
How far away was he, if you could estimate?
5-10 feet.
Okay. Pretty close?
Yes.
And so is it fair to say the whole time we're meeting with our client, we've got a video camera sitting right behind your head, basically? On the other side of a window? Yes or no?
Yes.
And presumably, recording what's going on in this room?
Yes.
All right. As far as his circumstances, was he shackled similar to the way he's shackled today?
I would say exactly like how he is today, with the handcuffs with the bar in between them, the ankle cuffs, and then the belly chain.
Okay. So basically, is this the way you've seen him every time you've seen him?
Yes.
All right. And did you feel like in that room that there was any privacy whatsoever when we were meeting with him?
Oh, absolutely not, no.
Did you have any confidence at all that anything we were saying was that?
No.
Did we have an attitudinal meeting in that room at some point? A second one?
Yes, yeah.
All right. And do you recall there being any differences between the first meeting and the second meeting?
Not, too many, maybe a couple. I know when we went with Andy, that was kind of the main difference in my mind.
Okay. All right. Do you recall the environment in that room? Whether or not it was hot? Cold?
On one of the occasions, it was a hot day out, but it was about 90-95 degrees in that room. I left the conversation kind of dripping in sweat, basically.
And the entire time, Mr. Allen is sitting in a plastic chair in the middle of the room facing a camera, right?
Yes.
With shackles on, leg shackles, and a belly chain?
Yes.
Had that ever changed,
No.
Up in those 2 visits?
No.
All right. Did we visit again more recently?
Yes.
Approximately when was that?
I think the 30th of May.
All right. So just about a week or 2 ago. Yes or no?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Tell the judge what the purpose of that visit was.
That visit consisted of a person visit with Kathy and her husband. We wanted to get Rick to see his wife, 'cause we thought it would be a kind of a mood booster for him, help his cause.
Well, let's talk about that. During the second and third visits, did you have a chance to observe his demeanor and his state of health?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Rick looked and sounded absolutely awful during those second and third meetings, just he looked weaker. I mean, you could see it today, he's lost so much weight. He just seems fragile. When he talks, he's much quieter than he used to be, seems much more anxious about things, much more repetitive in his speaking, not really able to respond to questions consistently. I mean, it's like 1 out of every 10 questions we asked him we were getting a genuine response to.
So was there really any ability to have a rational exchange with him in those 2 meetings?
Not much at all, no.
All right. So did we arrange this meeting with his wife to try and maybe pull him out of this funk?
Yes.
And that's what happened a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes.
Tell the judge what you recall about us getting into the prison during the meeting, and what was allowed and not allowed.
The rules changed a little bit during that meeting and we were allowed to take a computer in with a flash drive, but we were still not allowed to have phones, no watches, if I do recall correctly, and then we were still patted down and searched before we went in.
All right. And when? I recall there being a visit where actually you were not gonna be allowed in at one point. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that.
Which visit was that?
That was the third visit, the one we went with Andy. For some reason, they said I was not on the guest list or something to that nature, and even when I showed them my identification, my driver's license, they informed me that I was not going to be able to go in until you and Andy made a couple calls, and about 30 minutes later, they let me go with you guys.
So in fairness, we got it worked out?
Yes.
But it was different than the times before, right?
Yes.
All right. And so, getting back to this last visit, tell the judge where we visited Mr. Allen.
So I'm guessing the room we visited him is the typical visitation.
So they brought Rick in, right?
Tell
the judge what he looked like in terms of how he was being restrained is probably the word I was looking for earlier.
Yeah. I mean, he was still kind of restrained how he kind of always has been. On this occasion, though, I noticed that Rick's entire face was bruised and kind of looked, scarring a little bit. I mean, he looked to be in horrible shape. Kind of looked like he got a really bad suntan, but you could tell that it was all bruising.
Okay. Let me go back to one of those visits real quick, and let me ask you about his clothing. Was there a time when you noticed? You pointed out that there was a considerable change in his appearance?
Yes.
Tell the judge what you remember about that.
On the second and third visits, Rick's clothing appeared to be brand new each time, like they had just gotten his outfit out of the box. He wore white sneakers each time, which were extremely bright, looked like they had just been bought at the store, something like that. So there was a massive change in the quality of clothes he was wearing from my first visit to my second.
And did those occur after I filed this motion alleging some of these concerns that we had?
Yes.
All right. Did that strike you as being kind of odd?
Yes, yeah.
So then, going back to this last visit, did we make arrangements for Kathy, through the prison, for her to visit?
Yes.
Okay. And so tell the judge where they were seated, and what the logistics were surrounding their actual visit.
Okay. So they were seated kind of to the right side of the room, directly across from each other. One of the guards that brought Rick in was seated 5 to 10 feet away from them, basically close enough to hear, I would assume, every aspect of their conversation, whether they were whispering or not. There was another guard on the far left side and then 2 guards at their desks, who I think are normally stationed in that area, and then a couple of guards came in and out while they were meeting.
These 2 gentlemen you mentioned that were stationed on either side of him, were those people that routinely transport him?
Yeah, those were the guards that I have noticed routinely transport Rick, yeah.
Okay. And so was he allowed to have some interaction with Kathy?
Yes. They were allowed to hug at the beginning and end of their meeting.
Okay. Was he shackled?
He was not handcuffed at that time.
Okay. This is the first we've ever met with him when he didn't have any at least handcuffs on, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember seeing him walk in the actual facility?
Yes.
We were already there, right?
Yes.
When he came in, describe to the judge what you saw.
When Rick walked in, the guards that were escorting him took him past Kathy to the left side of the room and brought him into this room. About 5 to 10 minutes passed and then Rick came out with a completely different outfit.
Okay. So they changed him, his clothes or something, right?
Yep.
How was he restrained when they brought him in initially?
Full shackles, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So basically, he has leg shackles on, right? That were restricting his ability to walk?
Yes.
And he's got these hand shackles on, right?
Yes.
He's always looking like I'm looking, with one hand over the other, as he is now?
Yes.
And he had a belly chain. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you recall them having a leash actually attached to him?
Yes. On this occasion, they did have a chain leash that was attached to him, yes.
And where was that? What was that? What was going on with the leash?
I just saw it was connected to the belly chain.
Okay. Was an officer holding it, walking him, basically?
Oh, yes.
Did it look like walking a dog?
Yes.
Did I say something to them?
Yes.
Was I pretty upset by that?
Yes, you were.
So basically, he's walking around a jail, right?
Yes.
Like I am, small steps, and he's got a leash, with somebody walking him on a leash?
Yes.
Am I exaggerating?
Not really, no.
How long did he meet with Kathy?
About an hour.
All right. And as we sat there, did the officers ever leave and go anywhere?
No.
I mean where he would have had some privacy.
No. The one officer that was next to him stayed next to him the entire time.
All right. Was there anybody else in the building other than us and the people you described?
No. They had closed down the visitation center for the hour, so it was completely dead quiet in the room. I mean, me and Brad were pretty far away from where Rick and Kathy was, but even at times, I could hear aspects of their conversation.
Okay.
That's how quiet it was.
It was quiet in there, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what were your observations of his physical condition at that point? Was it any different than before?
Yeah. His entire face was bruised, as I briefly mentioned earlier, and I mean, every single time I visited him, and a couple weeks passed, he just looked weaker and weaker, and TS time, he looked, awful, his entire face was bruised and yeah.
Is it fair to say Kathy was pretty emotional?
Absolutely, yeah.
She hadn't seen him in 7 or 8 months, right?
Yeah.
While she was visiting with him, was there a point in time when she was just crying?
Yes, yeah.
And do you recall either her or somebody asking for some Kleenex, Rick or her?
Yes.
And what did they give her?
They gave her a couple pieces of toilet paper.
And tell the judge, do you recall, at some point, there being a request to just get some water?
Yes.
And who made the request?
Rick or Kathy, I don't exactly remember.
Okay. Well, what was the reaction?
There was a no.
Just a flat no?
Yeah, the request was denied, yeah.
How far were we sitting from a water fountain?
Not far at all. The officer that was right next to them was also right next to a water fountain. It was, quite literally, right behind him.
How many requests were made for water while we were there?
2, if I remember correctly.
And what was the response?
Both were denied.
And there's 7 or 8 full vending machines with Mountain Dew in.
Yes.
How'd that visit end?
We spoke with Rick briefly and then, after Kathy and him had spoken, and then he was taken back to his cell, I'm assuming, by the same officers that had escorted him in.
And then we departed?
Yes.
And we haven't been back?
We have not been back, no.
Nothing further.
Mr. McClelland.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Baker, you and I spoke before court. I think you're 20 years old. Is that right?
Yes.
Besides working on this case with Mr. Razi, have you worked on other criminal cases with him?
Yes.
And during your work on those other cases, have you had an opportunity to visit DOC facilities?
I visited other facilities. I'm not exactly sure whether or not they were DOC facilities.
Have you visited the Cass County Jail?
Yes.
Okay. Have you visited jails in other cities?
Yes.
Okay. During your time doing those visitations, did you ever have an opportunity to sit with or visit with somebody that had been accused of murder?
Yes.
And was it someone who'd been accused of murder of 2 girls?
No.
The first visit that you made with Mr. Allen during Christmas of 2022. Is that correct?
Yeah, around that time.
And the demeanor of the conversation between you and Mr. Allen, was that a normal conversation?
Well, obviously a lot was going on in Mr. Allen's life, so he was a little anxious and it wasn't a normal conversation, but it was much more normal than my later conversations.
Let me rephrase. Did you introduce who you were?
Yes.
Did he introduce who he was?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. And then you visit him, it looks like 3 times in May. Is that correct?
Yes.
The first visit in May, was the interaction the same as it was at Christmas?
Absolutely not. He didn't even remember who I was.
And then, the third and fourth visit, what were those interactions like?
Similar. Even those times he didn't remember who I was.
And let me back up. Did you know Richard Allen before you got involved with this case?
No.
And so fair to say that if you didn't know him before you visited him on Christmas of 2022, you didn't know what was normal behavior, what his normal look was like, you didn't know what normal for him was. Is that fair in saying?
For him, yeah.
Okay. You're basing all the answers that you've given today on what you consider normal.
I was more trying to compare between the different visits.
But you throw out a lot of adjectives in there. You know, this was abnormal. This was normal. You're basing that on your experience, not your experience with Mr. Allen?
I believe I'm basing it on my multiple experiences and comparing them.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Mr. Razi.
Max, you've done hard work on this case, haven't you?
Yes.
And seen a lot of photos and video, and watched a lot of interviews?
Yes.
Let me hand you what's been marked as Defendant's B. You recognize this photo?
Yes.
It's a picture of Mr. Allen a year or 2 prior to this.
Yeah.
And is this what you believe that he looked like when he was arrested based on everything that you've seen in the thousands of pages of discovery?
Yeah.
Did he look like that in May, when we started visiting him?
No.
Looks like he does now, right?
Yes.
Move to admit B. Defendant's Exhibit be offered.
Maybe a couple foundational questions, Judge.
Yes.
Did you take that picture?
No.
How do you know when that picture was taken?
To be fair, I don't.
Okay. So you're just being told it was taken a year or 2 by Mr. Razi.
Yes.
You don't know who took that picture?
No.
I don't have any other questions, Judge. No objection to the photo.
All right. I'll show Defendant's B is admitted without objection. Defendant's Exhibit B admitted.
Nick asked you about whether or not, I'm sorry, Mr. McClelland asked you whether or not you had ever been to visit with somebody that was accused of murdering 2 girls. You remember that question?
Yes.
You ever been to visit with somebody that was accused of murdering a woman?
Yes.
And do we do that all the time?
We've done that quite regularly since I started.
Yeah. Where do we do that?
I mean, it's nothing like how we meet with Rick. I mean, we.
Yeah, but where does that occur?
It could occur multiple. It could occur in a room outside of the courtroom when we're at a hearing for a case,
Okay.
It's occurred in very more normal locations.
All right. Have we visited the Tippecanoe County Jail a whole bunch?
Yes.
In the last 6 months?
Yes.
And is that involving a case involving death?
Yes.
And when we go visit with that client, tell the judge what the circumstances are like.
That client is, by no means, shackled. She's in a completely normal state of mind given her circumstances. She is able to sit right next to us, able to assist in her defense, write stuff down, all different sorts of things.
Is it? What kind of room are we in?
We're just in normal kind of visitation room, I would assume, or we were in a rec room I think the one time we visited the Tippecanoe jail.
Right. There's a table in there?
Yes.
And we're all sitting around the table?
Yes.
Got discovery laid out on the table?
Yes.
Having discussions with the client?
Yes.
Interacting in much more unrestrained circumstances?
Absolutely, yes.
I don't have anything further.
Mr. McClelland.
So, Mr. Baker, let's just address the elephant in the room. Your testimony here today is implying that if Mr. Allen were in another facility his health would better, his state of mind would be better, his clothes would be better. And that's because you visited other people in other facilities and they're in a better situation, in your opinion, than Mr. Allen's?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Judge.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Baker. You may step down.
Thank you.
1 second, Your Honor. Captain Gary Lewis, Your Honor.
Witness sworn.
Sir, would you, please, tell the judge your name?
Gary Lewis.
All right. And tell the judge where you work.
Westville Correctional Facility.
Okay. Is the reporter picking this up? Can you hear him okay? Okay. And specifically, do you work on the maximum security unit at the facility?
Yes, sir.
Forgive me, I don't understand all the dynamics there, but I suspect that's.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you been on that unit?
Going on 5 years.
All right. Is there any more secure unit in all of Westville Correctional Facility than the unit you work on?
I'm not sure. There's probably another up unit somewhere, but...
Have you ever visited the rest of the facility?
The rest of the facility?
Yeah, Westville.
Facilities, or just my facility?
Let me make sure I ask the question correct. Is there, in the Westville Correctional Facility as a whole, is there another unit that's any more secure than the one you work on?
No.
Okay. Are you aware of any other unit in the state that's really any more secure than the one you work on?
Maybe a couple.
Okay. Have you worked at those?
No.
All right. And are you basically in charge of the unit at least during the day shift?
Yes.
Okay. I'm assuming there's another captain that may work in the evening.
Yes.
Okay. And is it fair to say that your unit is kind of located in the back of the property, and it's kind of its own separate facility?
Correct, yes.
And in fact, to get there, you gotta go through the front gate, right? The main front gate where everybody goes to visit. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you have to go, be transported by a vehicle, and then go through 2 more gates, and then into your facility?
Yes.
Okay. What is the purpose of your unit?
To house incarcerated offenders that are disciplinary problems.
I'm sorry, to house? I just can't hear you very well.
To house.
I know you're soft-spoken, I'm sorry.
To house all types of prisoners that have disciplinary problems. They could be safekeepings. They could be anyone, anywhere. They send them throughout the state that there's a problem or not a problem. Well, I really can't identify what the problem is when they send them there. I just know they're in my facility, and that's it.
Okay.
I try not to look at that.
In the time that you've been there, have you ever housed an inmate that I would refer to as a pretrial detainee? Somebody that's not been convicted of a crime and awaiting trial?
Since I've been there?
Yes.
No.
This is a first, right?
Yes.
Mr. Allen's situation?
Yes.
And you see how he's restrained today, right?
Yes.
I mean, you're familiar with this restraint circumstance. Is that fair?
Yes.
And is this how he's restrained all the time, whenever he's out of his cell?
No.
So he leaves his cell under different circumstances?
Yes. It's not the same kind of restraint. It's not the same type of restraint. That isn't how he's restrained. Similar, but not the same.
Okay. Is it fair to say that this is what he looks like when he meets with us?
Does he have a black box on?
He has a black box.
Yes.
Okay. Leg shackles, black box.
Yeah.
Body, belly chain I think they call them.
Yes.
Now, just to be clear, I know the judge knows this, but we're making a record. There's thousands of other inmates in the Westville Correctional Facility, right?
Well.
Other than Mr. Allen.
I work in a different facility. We only got 255 offenders max unit.
Okay.
So, yeah, we got the whole Westville, probably hold around 2,500, 3,000 people.
Right. There's a fence that, essentially, separates your building from the other buildings in Westville?
Yes.
But all within the same perimeter?
Yes.
And do any of those other thousands of inmates, to the best of your knowledge, move around the facility looking like he does and restrained like he is?
Okay, so the circumstances are a little different. Are you talking about when they come out of my facility and go somewhere else?
Let me just give you a hypothetical. Okay. When John Smith, who's housed on the other side of the fence, goes to visit with his wife in the visitation, is he shackled like this?
No.
Okay. Is that part of the protocol for any of the other inmates that are on the other side of your fence when they go to visit?
So here's the deal, I know what they do over there. They don't, when offenders goes to the visiting room, no, they're not restrained. But for my unit, if they go to the visiting room, they're restrained like that.
Okay. And so he's not treated the same as other offenders that are outside of your maximum security unit. Is that an accurate statement?
That would be an accurate statement.
Do you acknowledge that he always has leg shackles on when we meet with him, right?
Yes.
And handcuffs? Do you call these box cuffs?
No, that's called.
What do you call these handcuffs?
They're called handcuffs.
Okay. But they have a box on them? They're different than others, right?
Yes.
He's all bound up in these chains, right?
Yes.
Belly chains. Is that what you call the chain that goes around his waistline?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then, I saw the other day he had a leash on him. What's the purpose?
In a max control unit, if they escort them everywhere, the leash, it's called a lead.
A lead?
A lead.
L-E-A-D? L-E-A-D, a lead?
Yes, yes.
Like you would have on a horse or something?
I don't know what's on a horse, but...
Okay.
That's what we carry.
All right. Do you acknowledge, in this particular circumstance, that there was a time frame where you were videotaping, your staff was videotaping our meetings with our client?
I do recall.
And have you ever ordered your staff to videotape a meeting with any other inmates in that facility?
Have I ever done it? No.
Have you ever directed your staff members to videotape any other inmates in that facility when they're meeting with their lawyers?
No. No other offender meets with anybody with their lawyers in my facility.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to speak up.
No, we don't. No other incarcerated individual meets with their lawyer inside my facility.
Do you believe that anybody that's outside of your walls, all these other?
Based on what I know, it's just a feeling here. I don't know. I'm not sure. No, probably not.
Do you acknowledge that there are other inmates, that the other inmates in the facility have opportunities to visit family members in the visitation area?
Yeah, I mean, they visit.
We just had a visit about a week ago with Rick. Is that right? 2 weeks ago, maybe?
Yes, maybe. I'm not sure. Yes.
Okay. You were there, right?
Yes, I was there, but I got a lot of things going on, you know.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Do you acknowledge that that visit was different because it was set up and his wife was a part of that?
Yes, it was different.
And essentially, the visit occurred in a different area of the prison, right?
Correct.
Which is what I assume is the normal visitation area for most people.
You talked about where you at?
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you acknowledge that it was different because the room was totally empty?
Yes.
And there were guards that were, essentially, positioned next to him, one right within arm's reach of him, right?
Correct.
And that was part of your protocol?
Typical protocol?
Yeah, or not?
Well, I don't know if it was a part of the protocol, but he's different. I mean, I don't know how different in what way, but I don't know what the circumstances would be. But yes, it was a different visit for him. Yes, if you want to say that.
One of the things that caught my eye was he had to change clothes or something or...
Well, all visitors, all incarcerated visitors that visit have to change their clothes. That wasn't different. That part wasn't different.
Okay. So they walked him into a room, and he changed clothes, and that's part of the protocol?
That's part of it.
All right. Were you there when he asked for water?
No.
Okay. Is there any reason why he shouldn't be able to get a drink of water in that facility?
For who?
For Rick.
I'm not aware of the rules that's in the visiting room. All I do is man the Westville Correctional Maximum Security Unit.
Okay. But you've been in the room, right?
Where?
In that visit room.
I've been in there before.
You were in there with us?
Yes, I walked in.
There's a water fountain right against the wall, isn't there?
For visitors.
And a bunch of vending machines?
Correct.
Do you recognize the word companion?
Yes.
Do you have a program at the prison that's called the Companion Program?
Yes.
And is that program one that you institute or you use, I should say, in the maximum security unit?
Yes.
And do you agree that, basically, you're posting an inmate, somebody from the facility, outside of the door of the detainee? In this case, Mr. Allen?
Yes.
And do you agree that is it accurate to say that that program is in place because of staffing shortages and monetary challenges and things of that nature in the prison?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay. So has Mr. Allen had a companion assigned to him since he's been in your facility?
He has, but it's switched to an officer.
Okay. So it's changed?
Yes.
All right. But at one point, he had inmates that were sitting outside of his cell, right?
Correct.
Basically, and forgive me, I've not seen this, but my impression is that there's somebody posted essentially at his cell door to watch him.
Correct.
And those people communicate with each other?
Correct,
And they're not directly supervised by other officers?
What people communicate?
The companion?
Communicates with?
Mr. Allen?
They're just supposed to monitor any incarcerated offender that he's watching.
Okay. But they can communicate. It's not, there's no.
They're not supposed to talk.
All right. But they do talk, don't they?
I don't know if they talk or not. If I see him talking, he's fired.
I couldn't hear you.
If I see them talk, if the officer would have seen him talking to whoever he's supposed to be watching, he's supposed to be relieved of his job right there.
Okay. Do you think there's ever been conversations between those inmates and the companions ever in your prison?
I'm not sure. I don't sit there and watch them.
Okay. How far away are they for the two bodies when that circumstance is occurring?
From where he's sitting in front of the door to...
Yeah. If he was standing at the door, how far would he be from the companion?
Maybe a foot or 2 feet.
Close enough to have a conversation.
I mean, we're close enough to have a conversation.
Right, but that would be close enough, 1 or 2 feet.
Yes.
To have a conversation?
Yes.
And your staff can't monitor everything that's going on there, can it?
It's impossible to monitor everything that goes on.
I don't have any further questions.
Mr. McClelland.
Thank you, Your Honor. Captain Lewis, during the time that Mr. Allen's been on your unit,
No. Everyone's basically treated the same as far as THE conditions. We don't treat anybody different, no.
Have you treated Mr. Allen harsher compared to the other people that are on that unit?
No, sir.
Has Mr. Allen been placed in a cell that is, for lack of better words, worse than the other cells?
No, sir.
And so everybody on your unit is treated equal?
Equal.
Are they all given the same amount of rec time?
Yes, sir.
Are they all given the same access to commissary?
Yes.
Are they all given the same access to clothing?
Yes.
All the same access to shower time? Correct?
Yep.
All the cells in your unit are identical?
Yes.
And the way that they're set up with the bed, the toilet, everything that's in the cell?
Identical.
Okay. Have you personally mistreated Mr. Allen in any way different from?
No.
I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Mr. Rossi.
Do you have any other pretrial detainees right now in that unit in?
Pre-trial? No, none that I know.
What kind of? Tell the judge what kind of people are housed in your unit. What kind of convictions are normal for people that are housed in your unit?
Just.
I'm gonna withdraw that question. I'm gonna get right to the meat of the matter. You have murderers in there?
Yes, sir.
Child molesters?
Yes, sir.
Basically the worst of the worst in society?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall me asking to see his cell at one point when I visited with your staff with you at your facility?
Affirmative response.
And what was the response from the Department of Corrections through you? I understand that.
Through me, it was no.
Okay. And I don't have any further questions.
Mr. McClelland.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh.
Is there a detainee or an inmate on your unit right now by the name of Robert Baston?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Mr. McClelland.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Captain. You may step down.
Thank you.
One more witness, Your Honor.
Okay.
Witness sworn.
What's your name?
Edward Schroeder.
And Sheriff, tell the judge where you're employed.
I'm currently the sheriff of Cass County, Indiana.
Okay. And just to kind of get through some of the technicalities here, you were a state trooper for, I don't know, a long time, right? 30 years?
Yes, sir. I retired from the state police after 31 years as a major.
Okay. And so you were in charge of at least one post, if not others?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
About 350 people.
All right. And is it fair to say, well, just tell the judge real quick, what are your general responsibilities in Cass County as the sheriff?
As the sheriff, I believe my duties are serve the courts, as well as general law enforcement, and administrator, chief administrator of the Cass County Detention Jail Facility.
And tell the judge, just as we sit here today, kind of what the size of your jail facility is and how many people you house maybe.
Your Honor, we just finished a remodeling addition, added approximately 150 beds. Our facility was 220, built in the year 2000. Now, our 80% capacity's near 309 offenders.
So you had 220 beds. You added 150 more?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how far is your jail from here in Carroll County, roughly?
Approximately 30 minutes.
And is this a modern facility? Basically the most modern jail facility in the state?
I don't know if it's the most modern in the state. It's the current technology for video conferencing, as well as video cameras. So it's the newer technology, yes.
Okay. And do you have the ability to house violent offenders?
Yes, sir. That's what jails do.
Do you do that routinely?
I will believe so, yes.
Do you house individuals actually for the Department of Corrections?
Not in the essence that we hold them for them. We hold them while they're waiting transfer to the Department of Corrections after they have been sentenced.
Okay.
So yes, in that sense, we would have them.
And some of those, is it fair to say some of those people are held for long periods of time?
Yes.
I mean, we're not just talking days, it'd be months.
Correct.
Okay. So do you house offenders from other counties?
Currently, we do not have any from other counties, but we have memorandums of understanding for other facilities.
Okay. And so is it normal for that to happen over the course of has it been normal for that to happen over the course of your time as a sheriff?
Just in the last year, since we've completed our construction project.
Okay. Let me make sure I'm asking the question right. Is it normal for you to move inmates from your facility to other county facilities, back and forth, based on needs and space and things like that?
Yes.
Basically, everybody helps everybody out?
Correct, yes.
And what are your current capabilities in terms of segregating any particular inmate, if that needs to happen?
It would really depend on the segregation needed. We have administrative segregation, as well as disciplinary segregation. We have padded cells for mental health crisis, as well as we don't have any individual cells, but we have dual people calls, dual person, dual male, dual female cells.
Okay. You, frankly, gave me a little bit of a tour. I should say a tour through your prison a week or two ago. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And did it by video. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Is it? Are you in a circumstance in your facility where you could house somebody like, let's say, Rick Allen, who is, maybe there's a heightened sense of security around that, with some reasonable comfort that he's gonna be safe?
I believe housing-wise, yes. I believe the other administrative things go along with that. The media request, the public information request would be a burden for the staff. But yes, I believe we could house him.
So in terms of his actual physical safety, that's something that you could do if you were asked to do it?
Correct.
I mean, is that the business you're in, basically housing people and keeping them safe?
Yes, sir, it is.
Let's just talk generally about I'm gonna give you a hypothetical. Let's say that Mr. Allen was housed in your jail, and I wanted to visit with him. Tell the judge how long it would take me to come over and see Mr. Allen just in raw time if you could estimate. Is that if you're already at our facility, or if you walk from your office?
No, if I'm in my office.
It would be a half a block walk to our central control. He would talk to our central control operator, tell us who he's there to see. We would have the inmate moved, and then we would put Mr. Rossi in an attorney room. It's not face-to-face. It's through glass. And then we would have the inmate move to him in, I would say in, best case scenario, 15 minutes. Okay. So is it basically me just walking around the block and opening one door?
Yes, sir.
And essentially, there's some meeting rooms, and I just walk in one of those rooms, and he's brought up.
Yes, sir.
If you were to move him, when you move inmates from their cell locations to visit with their lawyers, do they walk freely under their own free will?
If we don't have them in administrative or disciplinary segregation, yes.
Okay. So, in other words, if they've threatened an officer or beat up another inmate or something, you gotta kind of tighten up, right?
That's correct.
But in a case where, if I were just meeting with a client, they just walk freely. They're not shackled, are they?
No, we do not normally, within the facility, shackle or handcuff offenders or inmates unless there's some reason to do that.
Okay. Is there any requirement for me to make advance reservations, let's say a day in advance or hours in advance, for me to come and see a client?
No, sir. We honor requests typically from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. for both the prosecution and defense attorneys.
Let's talk about video cameras. Do you have video cameras in your facility?
Approximately 150, yes.
And did you actually show me some of those cameras, and kind of what that looks like from your end in terms of what you can supervise and monitor a few weeks ago?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did the visitation rooms have cameras in them?
They do, yes.
Tell the judge where they're located.
In the upper. So if the attorney's sitting across, it'd be in the upper left-hand corner in the ceiling.
All right. And is there any way for you, as a sheriff, a supervisor of these inmates, to hear or interpret what's going on between the attorney and client based on what you can get video access?
No, sir.
Based on the video access?
It's a single dome camera that doesn't have the ability to tilt, pan, or zoom. So we have, and there's no audio capability in those rooms as well.
Basically, it just shows the back of the heads of the inmate and see the attorney through glass, right?
Correct.
If you were to solitarily detain anyone, whether it be Mr. Allen or someone else, would they have the ability to shower daily?
Yes, sir.
Would they have the ability to obtain discovery from their lawyers and, view that without any kind of burden?
We do not do electronic media, but we allow legal mail and correspondence through written documents, through paper.
So if I brought a pack of discovery in there and handed it to your jail staff, would they give it to him?
Once they searched it to make sure, remove the staples and paper clips, and then just thumb through it to make sure there's no other contraband. Yes.
And they just hand it to him?
Correct.
Are there attorneys that visit the Cass County Jail that are allowed to bring computers in there?
Yes.
And phones?
Yes.
And is the visitation room essentially set up so that those things can happen with some convenience?
Yes. The attorney and client or the offender/inmate are separated by ballistic glass with there's a technical term, but I'll call the old theater speaker so that you can communicate back and forth.
Okay. And, in fact, you can even share documents in that.
Yes.
House, right.
If they're paper.
Right there in that housing facility situation.
Yes, sir. It will accept up to 3 pieces at a time.
Okay. Did you receive a call from me several months ago about trying to make some arrangements to get Mr. Allen to your jail?
Yes, sir.
And essentially, is it fair to say that you were willing to do that if the court signed an order directing you to do it?
Correct. I think the exact phrasing used, I really don't want him, I don't need the extra heartache, the stress, and the litigation liability, as well as the media inquiries, as well as public records requests. But if so, order by the court, that's the business I'm in, and yes, we would do our best.
And I came to you up front and asked you about that in advance, right?
Correct, yes.
Did you see what I reported to the court in my pleadings?
I read part of it, but I don't think I've read
Okay.
the entire argument.
Okay. Do you believe that your jail, whether you want to or not, do you think your jail is well suited to handle these kind of circumstances?
Yes, sir. I think the modern jail we have, like probable why 80% of the facilities in this state, would be accessible and capable of this type of custody.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Mr. McClelland.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sheriff Schroeder, good morning. I've never met you face to face. I know we've talked on the phone, but
Yes, sir.
welcome. I want to talk specifically about Richard Allen. If the court does order you to house him, what kind of cell is he going to be in?
It would depend on his classification, as well as mental state and worried about liability and litigation, but more than likely would be in a two-person cell, probably in our intake area. It's approximately 12 feet by 7 feet, 2 steel bunks, the stainless steel toilet, and a small desk.
Would there be another inmate housed with him in that cell?
Not initially. I would not do that initially, no.
Does that cell have a video camera on it or in it?
Yes, sir.
And is it surveilled 24 hours a day?
It's supposed to be.
Supposed to be?
Yes, sir.
Fair enough, fair enough. The bed's in, well, let me back up. Initially, he'd be placed in that cell. If he's evaluated and found to be suicidal, would he be moved to a different cell?
Possibly, yes.
Tell me about the cell that you house people in that make suicidal threats or that you deem to be suicidal.
Typical. We're in the process. The last phase of remodeling is we have a...
Sure. Is there a bed in that cell?
No, sir.
It's just... I assume it's like our padded cell. It's just a big room and it's padded on all 4 walls?
Yes, sir. It's a wrestling, matte type of material that has an epoxy paint on the walls and doors and floor.
And if Mr. Allen's housed in your facility, are you going to allow him to walk from his cell to the visitation room unshackled?
Until we couldn't, unless there's some security threat or some suicide/mental health ideation, then that's within our security facility, because there are 3 layers of security, so we're not as concerned about the movement within the facility.
On the opposite side of that, if he is deemed to be suicidal or a problem, what would be the protocol for moving him from the cell to the visitation?
We would not allow visitation with attorneys until the medical staff deemed him as not suicidal.
How often do you have medical staff on hand?
We have a contract with Quality Correctional Care, and we have medical staff on site from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., so 12 hours a day.
If something happens after that time, would Mr. Allen just have to wait till the next day to see medical staff?
If it's psychiatric, possibly. If it's medical, it would be
outside of medical emergency where you had to call EMTs or whatever it is. But if something happens outside that range, does he just have to wait till the next day to be seen?
Yes.
Okay. And you talked about the shower time. Will he have rec time?
We try to accommodate that. Yes,
Can you tell me about what kind of rec time he would have?
Based on if he's an administrat EVA segregation. They're locked in 23 hours a day. We provide the 1 hour a day. We have 3 separate recreation areas that we provide ability to get out and walk, do large muscle exercises, as well as has a large overhead door to create an outdoor air movement environment.
Sure. Talked about the attorney-client visitations. If Mr. Allen's housed in your facility, is he going to be able to have face-to-face family visitations?
No, sir.
What kind of visitations will he be able to have?
We use a third-party vendor. Our system's currently contracted with HomeWave, and we have kiosks or tablet/iPad type devices that they can use for educational, as well as communication purposes.
Would Mr. Allen be allowed to take that tablet into his cell?
He could, yes.
And would he be able to make phone calls from that tablet?
There is the ability to make calls, but not video calls, so it may simply.
What about to send? Here in our county we call them chirps, but they're texts. What about the ability to send text messages to people?
Yes, that capability exists, yes.
And during this lunchtime, rec time, those times he's out of his cell, would he have interaction with other inmates in your facility?
It would be minimal, Maybe passing in the hallway or in the secure area of intake, but not generally is what I would speculate our stance would be.
Sure. This is kind of a hypothetical. I understand he has to go through the intake process and those things. But with what you know now, if you were to house Richard Allen, would he be eating lunch with all the other inmates during the regular lunch hour?
No, sir.
Okay. Talked about the medical staff. Do you have any mental health staff that's available on your payroll?
We do not have full-time mental health capabilities. We have an agreement approximately 4 hours a week with 4 County, or this is now for C Mental Health out of Logansport, as well as every other week with our medical provider. They either have someone come on site or it's a telehealth type visit.
Okay. So 4 hours a week between the two organizations or some kind of telephone conference with a partner that you're working with?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be very close, yes.
Now, transportation. If Mr. Allen's housed in your facility, are you and your staff willing to transport him to the Carroll County Courthouse for hearings and/or the Allen County Courthouse for hearings?
No, sir. He's not my inmate.
Okay. And so who would that responsibility fall on?
Fall back on the original agency, unless there's some agreement made. Because as we house inmates or offenders for other counties, we are simply the housing facility.
Sure.
We're not the transport agency.
Fair to say you don't transport for any other county that you're housing an inmate for. That's their responsibility. You're just the housing unit?
Correct.
Okay. Again, you testified about this, but the meetings, even the meetings between Mr. Allen and his attorney will be recorded. Is that correct?
Video only, yes.
Video only with no audio.
Correct.
But they are recorded.
Yes.
And you had said the attorneys will be able to have laptops and cell phones in the visits?
Yes.
But does the offender have access to those?
No.
Okay. And so those are separated by a piece of glass, I think you said. And so even though the attorney's allowed to have the computer and the cell phone, the offender can't access it, can't touch it, those kind of things?
Correct.
You'd mentioned just a little bit, but you said initially he would be placed in a holding cell by himself.
Correct.
And I don't want to assume anything, but why, initially, would you put him in a holding cell by himself?
I will be worried about. Is it okay if I speak freely, ma'am?
Of course.
We classify our offenders, and we worry about. My job is to house them and keep them safe, so I worry about and we classify and move our inmates and offenders, and we try to enter administrative housing. For example, child molesters or suspected child molesters. We try to protect them from getting repercussions from other offenders.
Sure.
And this is a large media and area event that I would be concerned about.
Sure.
Any type of retaliation, if you will.
Sure.
And that would be the reason. Also, as we come in, we still quarantine, we still follow diminished COVID protocols. I'll call them COVID protocols, but...
Sure. And, Sheriff, I'm going to be candid with you. The fear is that if someone is alleged to have committed a crime or convicted of a crime that involves children, there's a fear of retaliation from the other inmates?
Yes, sir.
And that's a concern of yours?
Yes, sir.
And do you have that concern with Mr. Allen?
Yes, sir.
You have not been calm. Well, let me ask. Has anyone communicated to you a threat concerning Mr. Allen?
No, sir.
Have you seen any threats that say, "We're going to get Mr. Allen"?
No, sir.
And so you're basing this on your past experience?
Yes, sir.
And you have that concern with Mr. Allen?
Yes, sir.
I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Mr. Rozzi.
You house offenders all the time that have co-defendants in cases, common witnesses, all kinds of common connections, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Informants in drug cases?
Yes, sir.
They all bring about concerns about safety, don't they?
Yes, sir.
But you deal with those in an appropriate manner and do your best to make sure everybody's safe?
I believe I do my best. I believe that some will argue whether it's appropriate or not, but yes.
Okay. You mentioned the recreational opportunities. Look, this isn't Disney World, right?
Right.
But you've got 3 separate rec rooms that you showed me on the camera the other day that would be suitable for somebody like Mr. Allen or him.
Correct.
And is it fair to say that Mr. McClelland asked you about the cell, and I think you said it was, I'm looking at my notes, 12 by 7 cell, 2 steel bunks. It's basically a 2-man cell.
Yes.
And, in fact, it actually has a little pod outside of it, which is more of kind of a seating area where, what I would call a day room area. Is that right?
In the mental health/medical area that we haven't occupied yet. Yes.
I was gonna say, it's kind of a unique situation, 'cause you've got a little cell room, and then you've got another room where the offender can go to that's got a table and
Yes.
an area to sit, a kind of leisure area, right?
Correct. We haven't occupied that yet, but that is the goal down the road, which would include, so the cell now that I described does not have a shower in it. It has a toilet/sink/drinking fountain combination. So anyone in those has to be moved to a separate cell or for showering. This area, to try to accommodate medical, people with casts, canes, those kind of things, as well as mental health incidents, has a shower, as well as a table area in that so that we have less movement of that person.
Okay. You mentioned mental health, and Mr. McClelland asked you about this. You've mentioned 4 county counseling, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it a fairly expansive mental health organization in Cass County and 3 other counties?
Yes.
Hence the name?
Yes.
And they are basically at your fingertips in terms of your providing services?
Yes and no. Most of the work they do for us is grant-based, but they provide services as well as a navigator in mental health, as well as the mental health from our medical provider.
And theirs? Do you agree there's hundreds of people in your jail with mental health issues?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that your jail is equipped to deal with those in a reasonable way when they come about?
In the most extreme, Cassie, yes, but the general addiction or depression and those types of mental health issues, no, we don't have the resources to do that.
Most extreme cases meaning like suicide issues and things like that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McClelland asked you about family visits, and you suggested, well, there's no contact. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that family members often come to the jail to visit with they come to the facility to visit with inmates?
Yes, it is.
Basically, you've got an area where they can come in and, essentially, get on a TV screen and look at their significant other or whatever, right?
Yes. Our system has dual capability. You can do it remotely, which there's a fee for that because of the third-party vendor, or you can come into our lobby and use our kiosk, probably like most jail custody facilities, and you can visit for free from that location during the normal movement times. It would be a little different in this case if he would happen to be housed there and in this segregation cell, because that is not his free movement, and it would take the staff to move him to get to a tablet or a kiosk.
And as far as do you have pastoral counseling on a routine basis at your jail?
Yes, sir.
And as far as in-person contact, lawyer-client in-person contact, is it fair to say that you've accommodated me when I need to sit down in the airspace of a client and share information with them?
Yes.
That you have the ability to do that too?
Yes. We do have a contact attorney room that we use, not on a routine basis, but we use when an attorney would ask to say, I need some time with my client, I need to have him sign some documents, or I need to spend some time with him. It's more.
Or show him videos.
Yes.
Photographs, things like that?
We have it, but it's more the exception than the rule, yes.
But I've used that, haven't I?
Yes, sir.
And it's not much of a hassle, is it?
No, sir.
Nothing further.
Mr. McClelland.
Sheriff Schroeder, I forgot to ask you, what about clothing? How many?
We change jumpsuits every, I believe it's 3 days. I believe that's the DOC guideline we follow, Department of Corrections, through the Jail Operations Manual.
And so if it's every 3 days, it sounds like they'd be given 2 sets of clothing a week, perhaps 3 sets of clothing a week.
We typically only give them one and then exchange them one for one.
Okay, Fair enough. If an inmate were to soil his clothing on the first day, are they just stuck with them?
No, sir. They make a
Okay. Tell me the protocol.
They make a request through. Every cell has an intercom speaker system, and they could alert the corrections officers. Hey, I need a new suit. I soiled myself, and then they will accommodate that.
Sure.
I can't say it's immediate, but
Sure.
it will be.
Sure.
The time, yes.
I don't have any other questions, Judge.
All right. Thank you, Sheriff. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I have nothing further.
Mr. McClelland, do you have any evidence on this?
Judge, I do. I have 2 witnesses. Could I ask the court for a short recess, just so I can use the restroom?
Would counsel approach?
Sidebar conference conducted.
I just want to know kind of where we're at. You've got 2 witnesses.
Tony Liggett and the Westville warden.
Okay. Do you want to break for lunch?
I don't, but I'm.
Okay.
So I don't care. I can inaudible.
Yeah, we could take a quick break. How long?
I don't mean to be a pain, but
No, that's all right. How long do you think you'll be?
downstairs and right back up.
No, I mean in your witnesses, with your evidence.
Oh.
Ding dong, I don't care how long it takes you to go there. No, I don't care about that.
I don't really think too long. Inaudible Tony about the transportation resources, and then Gallipo just to address allegations they made in their safekeeping.
So another, hour and a half?
I guess I just couldn't.
Let's just break for lunch. I know you don't want to, but too bad.
I'm fine with whatever.
Okay. Let's just break for lunch.
I don't have anywhere else I need to be.
Well, I know you don't, because you were supposed to be here for 2 days.
Yeah.
Why don't we just reconvene at 1:15?
That's awesome.
Would that work? That would give you time to talk to your people.
What time did you say?
1:15, what about him? Where will they take him?
Folks, we're still on the record. Thank you.
They can probably take him to the jury room.
Inaudible.
Okay. All right.
Sidebar conference concluded.
We're gonna go ahead and break for lunch. The state's evidence is gonna take about an hour, perhaps a little bit longer. It's almost 12:15 now. All of y'all have been sitting here for quite a while, so let's reconvene at 1:15, please. Jody, you can go off the record.
Off record at 12:12 p.m. On record at 1:21 p.m.
All right, we are back on the record. Mr. McClelland D., are you ready to proceed, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would call Sheriff Tony Liggett, please.
Witness sworn.
Would you state your name, please?
Tony Liggett.
And, Sheriff Liggett, how are you employed?
I'm a sheriff of Carroll County.
And you've been the sheriff of Carroll County since January 1st of 2023. Is that correct?
Correct.
And before that, how were you employed?
I was at the sheriff's department as well as a deputy detective.
And, in fact, you're in the unique position that you were one of the lead investigators on this case. Is that correct?
Correct.
And when I say this case, I mean the case against Richard Allen.
Correct.
And how long have you been in law enforcement?
I started in 2001.
And did you have an opportunity to look at or review at least prior to?
That's Sheriff Leesenby?
Sheriff Leesenby. I'm sorry, yes, you're correct. Sheriff Leesenby.
Yeah. At some point I reviewed it, yes.
Okay. So you were able to review that document and see the reason for the safekeeping?
Yes.
And as your time as a detective and deputy, had you seen safekeeping motions like that before?
I had not, no.
Okay. As your time as sheriff, have you seen any safekeeping motions like that?
Aside from that one, I have not.
Okay.
I know they happen, but I had not seen one.
Sure. Are you in agreement with that motion that at the time Sheriff Leesenby filed?
Yes.
And do you have concerns that if Richard Allen is housed in our jail that there would be some safety concerns?
Yes.
And have you had any direct threats?
No.
Have you had any emails or any kind of information conveyed to you over?
No.
Okay. But you still have safety concerns?
Yes.
Can you tell me why you have safety concerns?
Our jail is extremely small. Even at full staff, there's probably more CERT guys that brought him here today than if we were at full staff in our jail. I believe we have 5 full-time, a jail commander, and we're short-staffed. Our jail commander has to fill a shift. There's only one person on duty at any given time in the jail.
And is part of your safety concerns about his safety from other inmates?
Yes.
And is the reason for that is because this case involves children?
Yes.
And you've been at least privy that the information from the filings and some of the information from the case is going to be released to the public. You understand that?
Yes.
And throughout the case, we've had various leaks within the community about information that's gotten out about the investigation. Is that correct?
Correct.
As more information gets out, does that heighten your concern for his safety?
Absolutely.
And we've heard information today that there's been confessions. Does that?
Absolutely.
And the fact that he's confessed 5 or 6 times that he killed the 2 girls, does that heighten your concern for his safety?
Judge, I'm gonna object at this point to leading. It's his witness.
The rules of evidence don't apply in pre-trial hearings. I'll overrule the objection.
Thank you.
And so my point is, as more information comes out about everything, does that give you more cause to be concerned about his safety in our jail?
It does.
And does that give you more cause to be concerned about retaliation from other inmates?
Absolutely.
What about when he's being transported from the jail to the hearings? Do you have concerns about his safety then?
Yeah. Again, we don't have a transport officer right now because he has to fill into a shift, and when we do have one, we have one guy. During the day, at full staff on the road, we have 2 road guys on duty at any given time. Even just normal transports to and from court are a pretty big strain and safety concern for us.
And you've kind of stated this, but typically when you transport someone from your jail or from another facility, it's a one-on-one situation, meaning you only send one officer to pick up that inmate.
Correct.
And at times, I think including you, everybody within your department has had to transport an inmate.
Yes. I just got back from Kentucky, picking one up there.
And so my point is your staffing situation's so short that even you have to transport at times?
Correct.
And so what concerns do you have if he's housed? Let's just start with us. If he's housed in our jail locally, what concerns do you have about transportation?
The biggest one is manpower and safety. We're going to have to see if we can find other agencies to help us do those things.
Now, you know that part of the defense's request is that he be moved from Westville to the Cass County Jail?
Correct.
And you had an opportunity to talk to the sheriff in Cass County?
Correct.
And if he's moved to the Cass County Jail, whose responsibility is it for transportation?
Carroll County's responsibility.
Do you have concerns of that happening?
I do.
Tell me why.
Again, finding the people to do it, it'll take more than one person to do it, as people can see today that it's going to take more than one person to make that.
I mean, even today for security, you had, I think, your entire department plus the assistance of Indiana State Police. Is that correct?
Correct, DNR, yeah.
Okay. Have you contacted the Department of Correction or any other agencies to see if they would assist in transportation if he is moved to the Cass County Jail?
Briefly spoke, and it did not sound like they were interested.
Okay. So let me get right to the point. Do you have a plan? If the judge orders him moved to Cass County today, do you have a plan of action at this moment of how you're going to transport him to the next hearing?
At this moment, no.
Okay. I don't have other questions, Judge.
Mr. Rozzi.
Thank you, Judge. So you're suggesting that you've talked to some other agencies about, or the DOC about transporting him, and that they're not really interested in doing that, right?
Correct.
But did they tell you they wouldn't do that?
I don't know that those words came out of their mouth. I don't think so.
Did they ever suggest that if the judge ordered them to do that, that they wouldn't do it?
No, I don't think that wasn't discussed.
Okay. This case involves various law enforcement agencies, doesn't it?
Yes.
And frankly, one of those was the FBI, right?
Correct.
Indiana State Police?
Correct.
Local Sheriff's Department?
Correct.
City police involved in some ways in this, even?
Correct.
On the fringes?
Yep.
The state police have invested, frankly, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars in resources into this case, haven't they?
Yes.
And they've been very public about that, hasn't the agency?
I don't know how public they've been about it, but...
Well, holding press conferences and asking for public assistance and all these things, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it stands to reason that you could call the superintendent of the state police and ask him if he would be willing to help with the transport of Mr. Allen.
That could be a call, absolutely.
And it would seem kind of odd if he said, "We can't do that," right? After investing all these resources into this case.
The transport and housing of prisoners is not a state police thing. It's upon the Carroll County Sheriff's Office to house, transport, things like that, so it's not in their normal realm. I don't know if they've done that in the past, but it would certainly be a phone call I would look into.
They assist your department with lots of other matters, don't they?
With the case.
Drug interdiction from time to time?
Every once in a while.
Bomb threats, right?
No.
You ever had a bomb T-Hreet where they rolled out their bomb team and brought dogs in emergency?
Not to my knowledge.
Vehicles and all that stuff?
Not to my knowledge.
You know that they do that, don't you?
Sure, yeah.
So it wouldn't be unreasonable to try and deorganize a 10 or 15-minute transport of Mr. Allen from one jail facility to another through them, would it?
If that's what we need to do, that would certainly be attempted to do, yes.
Let's talk about his safety. You acknowledge that you've looked at this.
Yeah, it's been a while, but yes.
And you would acknowledge that in this petition there's really nothing in here that references any immediate threat to Mr. Allen's safety back in November, when it was prepared?
I would probably have to read it again. I don't recall if there was any.
Okay.
Immediate.
Let me ask you this. Were you aware of any internet, email, phone calls, anything of that nature where somebody called your department and said they're gonna hurt this man?
I don't specifically recall any of those.
Okay. And it would stand to reason that if that happened, you probably would know, right?
I would think so.
Okay. Are you aware of any threats on Mr. Allen's life that have occurred since the safekeeping order was executed by Judge Diener?
Directly to us, no.
Okay. What about threats on your staff's life?
No.
So when Mr. McClelland was asking you about your concerns about his safety, did you ever visit Westville?
I have, yes.
Okay. When did you visit Westville?
Within this year, I believe.
Okay. Did you go up and see Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Okay. Did you actually talk to him when you were there?
No.
All right. Why'd you go up there?
Why'd I go up there?
Yeah. What was the purpose for your visit?
I think we went up there to just re-interview him.
Okay. So you interviewed Mr. Allen at the Westville Correctional Facility?
No, I don't think it ended up happening.
Okay. Have you ever gone up there and inspected the cell block where he's being held?
No.
Have you ever gone up there and inspected any aspect of the facility, the maximum detention facility where he's being held?
No.
So you really don't know what conditions he's dealing with on a daily basis because you haven't been there?
Correct.
So there's two parts to this kind of dynamic. One is his detention circumstances on a daily basis, right? Where he's housed, what circumstances he's dealing with me, who's supervising, those kinds of things, right?
Correct.
And the second part is just the idea of transporting him. Frankly, once every few months various miles from one facility to the other, right?
Okay, correct.
Would you agree with me? The most important aspect and the biggest responsibility that you have as a sheriff is making sure that his detention situation is an appropriate one for a pretrial detainee?
Sure. He needs to be in proper housing, sure.
Right. The transportation is just kind of a byproduct of having to get him from one place to another, right?
Sure.
It's a very small segment of what we're dealing with.
But there's
In terms of the detention circumstances?
a lot of safety involved with that too, but yeah.
Okay. Mr. McClellan asked you. You said you were the lead investigator in this case?
There were several of us, yes.
But you were the lead investigator?
Eventually, I was the lead investigator for Carroll County, yes.
And so that means that you would have approved of his arrest?
That I would have approved of his arrest.
Yeah, that you were supportive of getting an arrest warrant to take him to jail for murder?
Yeah, it was a team effort, but yes.
So you have a vested interest in seeing him convicted, don't you?
Yes.
All right. Do you think that you're really the best one to be in charge of?
That was what I was elected to do, so yes.
Okay. To do both of those things?
Yes.
All right. If there was another jail or custodial circumstance here that made a little bit more sense, would you be opposed to that?
As long as, if you're getting at if he's at Cass County and I have to transport, as long as I can arrange to get that transport done safely, I'm not opposed.
At some point, did you receive a call from Mr. McClellan about the circumstances that I had made arrangements for in Cass County?
I don't know if I received the call, but I got the information, yes.
And ultimately, you were the one that kind of pulled the plug on that circumstance, weren't you?
No, I don't understand how.
Well, you're the one who said you wouldn't agree to move him, right?
At that time, correct.
He was okay with it, wasn't he?
I don't know what his position was.
Did you ever ask him?
I don't know that we had that discussion.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Mr. McClelland.
I don't have any follow-up questions, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sheriff. You may step down.
Judge, finally the state would call Warden John Gallipo, please.
Witness sworn.
Will you state your name, please? My name is John Gallipo. And, Mr. Gallipo, how are you employed? I'm employed as the warden of Westville Correctional Facility, Department of Corrections. And, Mr. Gallipo, you don't have to lean into the microphone. It doesn't amplify, it only records. Okay. So if you speak in a normal, kind of outside voice, we'll all be able to hear you. Fair enough? Will do. Okay. And Warden, how long have you been employed as the warden of Westville? A little over 4 years. Okay. And were you employed in law enforcement before that? No. I've been in DOC for 27. DOC for 27 years? Okay. Yes, sir. And I want to just get kind of the nuts and bolts of this and I want to bring. Correct. And are you familiar with that inmate? I am. And you are housing him in your facility as a courtesy for Carroll County. Is that correct? Correct, sir. Okay. And he is housed in your facility? Yes, sir. Where in your facility is he housed? He's housed in APOD. Okay. Can you tell me about APOD? APOD is a maximum security unit. It has 55 individuals in it. Okay. And is he segregated in that APOD? Yes, sir. And that means he's in a cell by himself? Correct. What is in that cell? Depending on his mental health orders, currently I believe a mattress, his legal work, and a Bible. Okay. And does he have a toilet in that cell? Yes, he does. Okay. Does he have a shower in that cell? No, sir. Okay. And do you know the dimensions of the cell? I believe it's 12 by 8.5. Okay. And you said there is a mattress. Is there a bed frame or is the mattress on the floor? There's a bed frame. Okay. Can you tell me about the bed frame? The bed frame is a standard-sized bed frame. It's just bolted to the floor, because it's designed as a suicide occupancy cell. And so as I imagine a cell that there's a bed frame, but it's directly on the floor and that is for suicidal purposes. Correct. Or to prevent suicidal occurrences. Yes, sir. Okay. Sorry, that was a poorly phrased question. Why did you house him in that unit? When he got there, I don't believe he was on, 'cause, well, first of all, that individual cell has a camera, so he could be on 24-hour surveillance. And so it was important for you to have him on 24-hour surveillance? Correct. Okay. So we're gonna see back to the question, but specifically, why did you, when you accepted him as a courtesy hold, why did you house him in the segregation unit as opposed to general population? For his safety. Okay. You have concerns about his safety? Yes, sir. Okay. Why did you have concerns about his safety? Just the nature of the charges. Did you have any direct threats made to you or your facility? No. Were you made aware of any direct threats made to you or your facility? No, sir. Okay. So I want to get back to the cell that he's in. You said you believe it's a 12 by 8 cell? 12 by 8.5, I believe. 8.5. And is that the same cell that everyone else in that unit has, the same sized cell? Correct, all 255 beds are the same. Okay. And the mattress he's sleeping on, is it the same mattress that the other inmates in that? Yes, sir. Pod get? Is it the same mattress that the inmates in the entire facility get? Yes, sir. Okay. And talked about he has a bed. Is he currently on suicide watch? He is. Okay. Have there been times when he wasn't on suicide watch? Yes, sir. The times he's not on suicide watch, is he in the same cell? Correct. Okay. Has he been in the same cell his entire stay? His entire time. And there's 24-hour video surveillance on the cell. Correct? Yes, sir. Is there audio and video surveillance or just video? Just video. Just video. And when he's moved from that cell, is there video on him when he's moved from the cell? Yes, sir. Okay. And is he put in shackles or handcuffs when he's moved from the cell? Yes, sir. Why is that done? That's standard practice for all of them. For all the inmates in that pod. All 255. Okay. Does he have time to shower? He does. How many times a week can he shower? 3 times. And does he have change of clothes? He does. How many changes of clothes does he get? They get collected every Wednesday and distributed every Thursday. And when they're distributed, how many sets of clothing does he have? I believe 3. Okay. And does he have access to commissary? He does. Has he exercised his ability to buy commissary? He has. What has he bought during? Or what has he bought from commissary? I believe he's bought clothing, socks, shoes, shirt. Not sure about food items, but he's bought clothing and hygiene. So on top of the 3 sets of clothing he gets a week, he also has additional clothing in his cell. He does. And additional shoes? Yes. Does he get time for recreation? He does. How much time does he get for recreation? 1 hour 5 times a week. Okay. Is that different from the other inmates in that facility? No, sir. Okay. And so it sounds like everything that he's gotten up to this point is identical to the other inmates in that unit of your facility. Correct. Okay. He has a toilet in his cell. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Is there any limit on the amount of toilet paper he gets? No. When it's out, he puts the roll and we exchange it. Okay. Is there a limit to how much or how often he can use the restroom? No. Is he required? Do you require him to wear the same set of clothing day after day? No. And so he can change clothing at any point that he wants in his cell? Yes, sir. Okay. Is he required to wear soiled or stained or tattered or torn clothing? No, sir. And in fact, you said he had exercised his use of the commissary and he has new clothing in his cell. Is that correct? He has at one time, yes, sir. Okay. Does he have access to an electronic tablet of some kind? He does. Tell me about that. It's a tablet from GTL. Matter of fact, he was just issued a second tablet about 2 weeks ago. He broke his first tablet, and the average person in Westville would have to replace that for $250. we gave him the opportunity for an additional tablet. Okay. So let me back up a little bit. What capabilities does he have with that tablet? If he purchases stuff, he can purchase music, download movies, but more importantly, phone calls. And the phone calls, are they video calls or just the typical phone calls that we'd be used to? Just the typical phone calls. Does he have access to be able to text people from that tablet? No. And so he was issued a tablet. When he came to the facility, that tablet was broken by him? Yes, sir. And in typical situations, it's my understanding that if an inmate breaks the tablet, you make him pay the $250 replacement fee before they get another one. Correct. That didn't happen here? No, sir. What happened? We issued him a tablet based on behavior. We had a little mental health design, some expectations for him to meet, and he met those, and we issued him another tablet. Why would you issue him a new tablet without paying for the old one when you don't do that to the other inmates? It's not customary. Okay. You do have medical staff on site at your facility. Is that correct? 24 hours. And you do have mental health personnel on site at your facility. Is that correct? We do. Has he been checked out by the medical staff on a regular basis? Yes, sir. Have you gotten any reports? This is going to be a broad term, but have you gotten any reports that he's unhealthy in any way? No, sir. Have you gotten reports that his BMI and his vitals are all on track, that he's healthy? Normal ranges. Normal range. Has he been checked out by medical personnel or medical mental health personnel on a regular basis? Almost daily. And you said he's gone on suicide watch recently. Was there a time when he wasn't on suicide watch? When he first got there, I don't think he was on suicide watch for a while. I can't give you an exact time. But the recent past months, he's been on some sort of suicide watch, whether it be constant or close supervision. Okay. Do you know? Within a range, do you know when that switched from not being on suicide watch to being on suicide watch? Let's see. I believe we got him November 4th probably sometime in September 6th. I think he wasn't on suicide watch for the first couple months, I believe. Okay. And was there a time in the recent past you began to get strange behavior from him? Yes, sir. And at that point, did you have him seen on a more often basis by the medical and mental health staff? Yes, sir. Do you know what, for lack of better term, do you know what flipped the switch, or what caused the switch to be flipped? I know we went from suicide companion to officer companion, I think a day after he received his legal work. Okay.
I'm sorry. Would you finish that? I didn't hear what you said.
We changed from suicide companion to officer companion the day after he received his legal work. So I want to talk about suicide companion. What does that mean? The normal individual will have a suicide companion, comes from our plus unit, it's a religious unit, and the incarcerated individual would watch over him every 5 to 15 minutes and just take notes on behavior. Those logs would be reviewed by the shift supervisor and mental health staff. And at some point, you switched it over to having officers in your facility actually be that companion watch. 24 hours a day. Okay. And so now, currently, he has an officer at his door or at the front of his cell who watches him 24 hours a day. Correct. Plus, he's on camera in the cell 24 hours. Well, at the times he's in the cell. Yes, sir. Okay. Is he allowed face-to-face visits with family and friends? He had at least one, yes. Okay. In the future, is he going to be allowed if he's held at your facility, given what you know, indeed the suicide watch and all those things, is he going to be allowed face-to-face visits? Yes. Okay. Do inmates in that pod are they normally allowed face-to-face visits? None of them. So only he is allowed face-to-face visits? Correct. Okay. Did, at some point, you prevent him from having face-to-face visits? No. Okay. So throughout his stay from late October/early November till now, that entire time he was allowed to have face-to-face visits? If requested. Okay. Want to talk about the attorney visits? Is he allowed to have attorney visits? Yes, sir. And you've had an opportunity. Well, let me back up. Are attorneys allowed to bring cell phones into your facility? No. And have you allowed attorneys to bring cell phones in your facility in the past? At least to your knowledge? No. Okay. Are attorneys allowed to bring in computers into your facilities to meet with the inmates? No, sir. Okay. If an attorney needed a cell phone or his computer to go over discovery with one of the inmates, are those accommodations you could make in your facility? Yes, sir. Okay. The visitations with attorneys, are those recorded? They are, for general population? Yes, all visits are recorded. Well, let's talk. I want to talk specifically about Richard Allen. The visitations between Richard Allen and his attorneys, are those recorded? They have been, yes. At some point, they were recorded, I think, with a handheld camcorder. Is that correct? Correct. That has stopped? It has. Why'd that stop? It was requested. By the attorneys? Yes, sir. Okay. Are the visitations still recorded by some kind of security camera? Yes, sir. And that's a video recording with no audio. Is that correct? Correct. So just to clarify, the visitation from the unit that he's incarcerated in currently, there's no face-to-face visits, so it's not recorded. The visitors go up to the front desk, they would get on the kiosk system, he would get on the computer AT the facility, and they would talk, they could see each other. General population, where we took Mr. Allen, is all surveillanced. Okay. And so the unit that Mr. Allen is on, none of those inmates get face-to-face visits? None of them. With attorneys, family, nothing? Well, attorneys if requested, but no family. Okay. In Mr. Allen's case, he's been allowed to visit his attorneys. And how was that facilitated, meaning where are they taken, that kind of thing? He was taken to the general population visitation room, I believe it was from 1 to 3 or so, and we closed off visitation at 12:30 to 3:30, just to make sure that he had privacy and that he didn't see any other individuals. And if he's continued to be housed at your facility, are you will ing to continue to accommodate the attorneys to continue to visit with him? Yes, sir. And again, you're willing to accommodate them in terms of taking a cell phone or computer in so that they can review the discovery materials with Mr. Allen? Yes, sir. Okay. Now, you said his behavior has been from non-suicidal to suicidal. Let me back up. Do you know specifically what changed his behavior? I believe it's when he receives his legal work. He's been on some sort of suicide watch the entire time after that. Okay. And during that time, has Mr. Allen requested to meet with you? He's written me, yes. And what did he write you? He wrote me numerous things. I think he sent me 5 or 6 letters, some of it.
Judge, may we approach?
Yeah.
Sidebar conference conducted.
I'm not sure if we're gonna start having discussions about discovery that I don't have.
That's why I'm kind of like.
I'm not aware of any of these letters. To that extent, I'm gonna start objecting 'cause I'm
Okay.
not sure what he's gonna say.
Do you have them?
Yeah. I've been reaching out, inaudible.
Have you provided them to him?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Well, 'cause he needs them.
Sidebar conference concluded.
When Mr. Allen first came to your facility, was he taking advantage of the recreational time that he was afforded? It was hit or miss. Sometimes he would just refuse to go to rec, sometimes he went. Okay. Has he ever refused any meals? Yes. Okay. Can you tell me about that? It's off and on. We record them, we'll declare him on a hunger strike after his 4th missed meal. I don't know how many hunger strikes he's been on, but he typically eats. I check those logs every day. I know he ate breakfast this morning right about 4 o'clock. And was he exercising not only at rec time, but was he exercising in his cell on a regular basis as well? Was he exercising in his cell? Yes. On occasion, yes, sir. And throughout this time, again, he's being seen by medical and mental health staff on a regular basis his entire stay there? Correct. Okay. Do you continue to this day to have concerns for his safety? Currently where he's housed at, I don't. Okay. If he was moved to general population, would you have concerns for his safety? I would. And has the mental health or medical staff expressed any concerns to you that would cause you to have concerns for his health or well-being?
I'm gonna object to. We kind of talked about this in
Sustained.
Have you seen anything in the reports that you get that Mr. Allen was being treated unfairly in your facility? I have not. Is he being treated different from other inmates in your facility? No, sir. In fact, it sounds like he's getting more benefits than the inmates in your facility. That is true. When he's transported from your facility, does DOC? Are they the ones that take care of the transport? Correct. And they're the ones that have the manpower, supply the manpower to transport him. Is that correct? Yes, sir. I don't have any other questions, Judge. Thank you.
Mr. Rozzi.
So Mr. McClelland asked you about his cell. I think you said it was a 12 by 8.5 room. Is that right?
Correct.
I'm sure you saw the motion that I filed with the court, alleging some of.
I believe so, yes.
And in that motion, I'm looking at it right now, it says a 6 by 10 room. Does that sound consistent with what I've reported to the court?
I'm unaware of any 6 by 10 room.
Okay. But was that consistent with what I reported to the court?
I believe so, yes.
So I was a couple feet off, right?
A few.
All right. 2 feet one way and 2 feet the other, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I think what I heard today is that from the minute Mr. Allen was assigned to your facility, that he was placed in a, what I'll call a suicide cell. Is that correct?
Correct.
He wasn't necessarily on suicide watch, but he was detained as if he was suicidal?
He was put in that room for the camera at that time, yes.
Okay. And so those circumstances have remained throughout his stay, right?
Yes.
And that was before there was any mental health assessment of him or anything of that nature which suggested that he was suicidal, right?
Correct. I believe he was on suicide watch a few months after he was there.
Do the other cells in the maximum security unit have cameras in them?
Only 4.
Okay. So there is a difference between the circumstances he's detained in that maximum security unit and 50 other cells, right?
Just the camera, correct.
Well, pretty significant difference, isn't it?
Sure.
Having somebody starting at you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week versus not, right?
Sure.
It's my understanding that this unit that Mr. Allen is detained in is the highest security unit within your facility, right?
At Westville? Correct.
Yeah. We talked earlier, you weren't in here, but it's kind of a prison within a prison really, isn't it?
Separated, correct.
Yeah. Has its own gates that you have to go through, even after you get into the facility?
It does.
Well, and the most heinous of criminals are often housed in that facility, aren't they?
Half of them.
Half of the most heinous inmates?
It's a 255-bed facility. Half of them are department-wide and the other half are Westville offenders.
Okay.
So half of them are
people that are
Level 2 offenders.
People that have been convicted of the most heinous crimes you and I can imagine, right?
There's some bad crimes in there, yes.
Yeah. And he's basically detained right next to them, right with them, isn't he?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And those people are these heinous offenders in your facility are actually set aside and removed from your general population, aren't they?
Correct.
You wouldn't house those people with the people in general population, would you?
Say that again, sir.
You wouldn't house those people with the people in general population.
I do. I mean, like I said, half of the facility is designed for Level 2 Westville offenders, so whether they're in there for a day or a year, when they're released, they go back to general pop.
Okay. Now, did you have a chance to see Mr. Allen when he was first housed in your facility back in November?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Did he look anything like he looks now?
Similar.
He's lost a lot of weight, hasn't he?
He's lost some weight.
All right. And in terms of just his overall mental health, regardless of what's to blame for it, it's definitely deteriorated, hasn't it?
It's changed.
Yes. For the worst, right?
It's changed.
Yeah. For the worst, hasn't it?
It's off and on. I spoke to him yesterday, he spoke fine.
Okay. But the point is that he doesn't look the same, does he?
He's lost some weight.
And he's not acting the same, is he?
En occasion.
Like I said, he spoke clearly to me yesterday and last week. Nothing, sir.
But he's engaged in some conduct in your facility that's, frankly, pretty unsanitary.
To his doings, yes.
Yeah. Now, to the extent that he was, you said earlier that he was suicidal, right? At some point.
I said he was put on suicide watch.
Okay. Well, was he suicidal?
Mental health put him there.
You didn't have anything to do with that?
No.
Okay. Did you ever suggest that anybody at your facility reach out to?
I have not personally, no.
Okay. Do you know anybody else in your facility that suggested that? To do that?
I have not, no.
Okay. Do you know anybody in your facility that suggested that? We should reach out to the sheriff in Carroll County and maybe let him know what's going on up here.
Not to my knowledge, no.
You're aware, I assume, that I made a request to actually just inspect or look at his cell when I was up there on one occasion.
Yes, sir.
And I'm kind of gathering this from what I experienced. But was there ultimately a phone call to you about whether or not I should be able to do that?
There was communication, correct.
And were you the one that suggested to Captain Lewis that I couldn't do that?
I said that no one can go in his cell until I get authorization.
Okay.
It was an unusual request.
For me to just go see his cell?
For anybody.
How far away was I at the time I asked for that?
I'm not sure. I'm just saying it was an unusual request. I've never had that request before.
I mean, I was in the same building, right?
Correct.
Probably just right around the corner, right?
Correct.
Are you aware that I filed another request, a more formal request, to get in your facility?
I'm not sure if I seen that one. No.
Okay. Has your DOC staff or attorneys talked to you about any of that?
They do, we communicate.
All right. But that's not happened as we sit here today, has it?
I just don't recall of it, no.
No, that I've had a chance or my staff had a chance to go in and see the circumstances under which he's detained.
It has not.
Now, with regard to this tablet that you referenced, you said he has the ability to make phone calls on that tablet, right?
He does.
So he could, theoretically, call his family, right?
I think 3 family members are listed.
Okay. But anything that he said to them about his case would be recorded by your facility?
Recorded by GTL.
Okay. Which you subcontract with him.
Correct.
And so you have access to all that?
I do not.
Well, somebody that in the facility has access.
Internal affairs.
Okay. You have.
His family members would.
An investigative team or something, right?
I do.
Okay. And so they're the ones that monitor all those calls, right?
Only one has capability of it.
I'm sorry.
Only one investigator has the capability of it.
Okay. So anything that he would communicate to his family, if it was at all remotely related to his case, you would know about it or the investigator would know about it.
If they listen to it, correct.
Well, they're listening to it, aren't they?
I'm not sure.
Well, has anybody asked you to monitor any of that?
Has anybody asked me?
Yeah.
No. All inmates are recorded, they're all recorded.
Are you aware that the prosecutor has offered up phone calls and stuff to us?
Say that again.
Are you aware that the prosecutor Mr. McClelland, has offered up phone.
Well, the calls for the attorneys are not recorded.
No, I'm talking about the family members.
Specifically what?
Are you aware that the state has offered up to us numbers, various phone calls of recorded conversations from that facility?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Nobody's ever asked you about any of that?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So, apparently, the investigative part of your staff is not communicating with you about his circumstances.
I'm just now aware about his phone calls.
Okay. And your position is, with regard to our access to the facility, that we're not allowed to have cell phones in there?
No attorneys are allowed to have cell phones.
Okay. Did anybody tell you I had a cell phone in there the first time I went in there?
Yeah, the shakedown sergeant.
Okay. All right. After that occurred, right?
Say that again.
I took a cell phone in there the first time, didn't I?
And the second time.
Right. And then, all of a sudden, the rules changed, didn't they?
The rules never changed. Attorneys weren't allowed to have cell phones.
Well, then the enforcement of them changed, didn't it?
No, it's not.
Now, with regard to this video circumstance, well, let me back up. Have you ever, in your time as a warden, housed a pretrial detainee that's not been convicted of a crime at any point in their life?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. First time, right?
For me.
And you acknowledged there was a circumstance for a couple of months where your staff members were videotaping our visits with our client?
Only video, yes.
Okay. And, in fact, you actually assigned a correctional officer that carried a video camera around and followed us around the facility into the room where we were meeting?
Anytime he was out of the cell, correct.
And that correctional officer was asked, essentially, to stage him or herself at the window next to where we were meeting?
When he was on constant suicide watch, we had to, yes.
Okay. And that was never communicated to us before we visited with him, was it?
I'm not sure what was communicated to you.
You certainly didn't do it, right?
Do what, sir?
You certainly didn't communicate that to us.
Not to you, no.
And you didn't communicate to your officer to tell your officer to.
No, sir.
You just did it.
Yes, sir.
And at some point, there were concerns raised by us that we didn't have any privacy, wasn't there?
There was.
And I'm assuming that your legal team at the DOC suggested that you stand down with regard to that videotaping.
That was the decision.
Okay. And do you have any need to do that in the future when we're meeting with him?
I don't.
Okay.
We'll need constant visual if he's on mental health constant observation.
But you don't have any need to videotape attorney-client meetings, right?
No, sir.
You ever videotaped an attorney-client meeting with another inmate?
I believe so.
And who was that?
I believe it was Mr. Campbell.
Okay. And when was that?
Oh, probably a year ago.
Was it in the same facility?
Yes, sir.
Or does any of that go in outside of the maximum security unit in the general population?
General population, they're all recorded.
They're always what?
They're always recorded.
Well, do you have a specific officer assigned to each of those individuals as you move them around to visitation with their attorneys?
No, I take them to the visitation room.
All right. Basically, there's normal surveillance up in the corner, right?
Correct.
Do you, to the extent that Mr. Allen is afforded visitations with his family, do you have any problem with him having water during those visitations?
It would be an exception.
You have to make an exception for him to have a drink?
It would be an exception.
Okay. Inmates aren't allowed to have water when they visit W with their family?
No food or water during visits.
Okay. Well, the visitation room we were in just a week or two ago, had vending machines from wall to wall, right?
They can take them back.
Okay. So, but nobody can drink water?
Not in the visitation room.
But I'm pretty sure I saw a water fountain over on the wall when I was in there, right?
There may have been.
You're not sure if there is?
It's probably for staff if there is.
Okay. I've had a chance to review some articles regarding your facility. Are you generally aware that your facility is kind of in the midst of an overhaul?
We are rebuilding, yes.
There's a gentleman, it looks like, by the name of Kevin Orm. Do you know him?
Kevin Orm?
Orm, I'm sorry.
Yes.
He's the Director of Construction Services of the Indiana Department of Corrections?
Yes, sir.
And I see that there's been a lot of, well, frankly, the state has decided, essentially, tear your facility down and renovate it, right? Or remodel it.
To rebuild.
Okay. Get rid of what you have now and replace it with something new.
In the future.
Right. It's $1 billion project, right?
I'm not sure of the money.
And there's been plenty of coverage regarding the circumstances and the ability, the circumstances at your facility. Isn't that right?
Say that again, sir.
Well, there's been plenty of media coverage regarding the circumstances.
I assume so.
And there's been findings, in fact, that it's doesn't meet the modern safety and security standards and operation needs of your staff members?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
Westville's a pretty safe facility.
Well, do you read any of this literature?
I didn't read that.
All right.
I'd say Westville's a pretty safe facility.
Your facility was recently sued for violations that occurred in the very unit where Mr. Allen was housed.
I don't know specifically what you're talking about, no.
Well, I just think I saw an article where some body settled a lawsuit for $400,000 for wrongful detention in that facility.
Not since I've been there.
You don't know anything about it?
Not since I've been there.
In the motion that I filed, I actually included that article as a footnote. Did you see that?
Not since I've been there. I've been there for 4 years.
Did you review this particular motion that I filed with the court?
Yes.
Okay. You saw the photos that I attached of Mr. Allen?
I'm not sure I saw any photos, no.
I'm sorry.
I don't think I saw any photos.
Handing you what's been marked as.
Oh, I saw that.
You're aware of this photo, right?
I saw that.
And you're aware that I basically took exception to the condition that he was in at the time, right?
Apparently so.
All right. And you would acknowledge, I assume, by just looking at that, the clothing that he's wearing it's soiled and stained, isn't it?
It is. He just got out of the rec area on that particular day.
All right. And your rec area is where?
He was offered the opportunity to go back and change. He refused.
Okay.
In his cell, he had brand new clothes that he purchased off commissary.
Does his shirt get that brown and that stained all in that rec period?
I didn't inspect him before he went to rec.
Okay. Is the rec area there in that confinement area? The maximum security facility?
Is there a rec area?
Yes.
There's several of them.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. Outside of the walls of that maximum security facility, in the rest of the prison, there's all kinds of rec opportunities, aren't there? Basketball courts?
There is.
How many do you have? 4 or 5? Or 6 on the grounds?
Probably.
Volleyball courts?
No.
Baseball diamonds?
Yes.
Plenty of areas where people could move about and recreate, right?
Correct.
But in this particular situation, you have a confined area that's just a small cage, basically, just outside of the maximum security unit, right?
Not correct.
Well, what does the rec area look like?
Actually, we just renovated it, so the rec area has a brand new bike. It has a brand new rowing machine on the inside rec area. The outside rec area has pull-up bars and it has a basketball net.
Okay. Is there anything in that rec area? People could go out and play in the mud or in the sand or anything like that?
No.
So he wouldn't have any reason to look like he did in that photograph, right?
I'm not sure how he got that stain on his shirt.
Okay. Well, when you saw that photograph, did you go back and check the video to see? Wait a minute. Why does he look like he does?
No.
You have this companion program at the prison?
We do.
And, basically, the program calls for you to pose somebody at the jail cell or the door of any particular individual in there, right?
If they're on some sort of mental health watch, yes.
Okay. So when somebody's sick and they're having mental health problems, the response is to basically stick a felon at their door and let them monitor that person, right?
No. If they're sick and have severe mental health problems, they'll be moved to the infirmary.
Okay. But in this case, you engaged this companion plan, didn't you?
Excuse me, I did what?
You were using companions with Mr. Allen, weren't you?
We were for the first couple months, yes.
Okay. So these people are, essentially, convicted felons, aren't they?
They're convicted, yes.
Well, they're felons too, aren't they?
I'm sure.
You don't have misdemeanants running around in your prison, do you?
Not that I'm aware of.
And certainly don't give access to the maximum security unit to those kind of people, right?
No.
And so you've got inmates that are sitting at the door with somebody who's sick, and you don't necessarily know what they're talking about, do you?
Sick meaning health-wise or?
Yeah, mental health issues.
I'm really unaware of his mental health issues other than I knew he was on some sort of watch.
And you're also unaware of what those companions are saying to those inmates, aren't you?
They're not supposed to be saying anything.
Well, but you don't know that they are or aren't, do you?
I don't know that they are.
They're pretty trustworthy people?
For the most part.
They would not ever go back in the general population and breach any of those confidences, would that?
That's not what I'm saying.
1 second, Your Honor. You've got a very worthy team of transport officers that have been, frankly, very kind to us. Is this a team that you use in other circumstances when you're transporting individuals to and from facilities?
Yes.
And is it a team that's trained to do this and, frankly, that's kind of their primary responsibility?
It's one of their responsibilities, yes, they're trained.
Pretty good at it, right?
They are.
I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that housing Mr. Allen in this case has been quite a burden with all the lawyers involved and the demands and the visits and all the accusations?
It's one of many challenges.
Okay. So the answer's yes, it's a challenge?
Can be.
If the judge were to just ask your facility or ask you for the use of your transport team to maybe move him to and from a county jail 15 miles or 20 miles or 30 miles, whatever that might be, they would be capable of doing that, right?
They would be capable, yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Mr. McClelland.
Thank you, Judge. Warden, I want to show you again what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit A. Yes. Do you recognize that photo? I do. Okay. I want to ask you some questions to put in context this photo. The defense has alleged that this photo exhibits that their client is being mistreated. And I want to make sure I get the language right, that he's held in a cell. No. Do you know who took the photo? I believe the attorneys did. Okay. And you started to say this and I think Mr. Razi cut you off a little bit, but when this photo was taken, where was he coming from? Rec? Straight from the rec area. And how long had he been in the rec area? Probably 45 minutes or so. Okay. And the shirt that he's wearing, you don't know how it got torn? I don't. Did he wear a different shirt every time he went to rec or the same shirt every time he went to rec? I believe he wore the same shirt. He was saving his other shirts for attorney's visits, from what I was told. And so that shirt that he's wearing there, you believe that's a shirt that he wore for rec every time he went to rec? I know he wore that shirt to rec and then went straight to see his attorney. Okay. I wanted the video to see how his shirt was so dirty. But at the time that that photo was taken, he had clean clothes in his cell? That is correct. Did he have new clothes from commissary in his cell? Yes. Okay. And did you or your staff attempt to change him out of his rec clothes before he met with attorneys? No. We wouldn't have saw that stain because his jumpsuit would have been buttoned up. Okay. I thought you had made a comment before that he refused to change clothes. He came straight from the rec area. He had the opportunity to change clothes and he did not. Ah, okay. So he had the opportunity to change before he met with his attorneys and he decided not to? Correct. Okay. Is he clothed in shirts like that on a daily basis? No. If he is, again, that's his decision. He has clean clothes and his clothes are laundered every week. Okay. I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Mr. Rossi.
Do you know if he chose not to change clothes on that particular day?
He went from the rec area back to his cell, where he had the opportunity to change clothes.
Were you transporting him?
No.
Did you have anything to do with him going to the rec area to the cell?
I did not.
Where were you physically when he went from the rec area to the cell?
I might have been home, I can't tell you.
Okay. You don't really know?
But I watched the video and I saw it.
Okay. Mr. McClellan filed a response in this case to the motion that or let me ask you this. You recall me filing a motion with a bunch of these allegations about his conditions, right?
I saw it, yes.
You're intimately familiar with that, I'm assuming.
I'm familiar.
And Mr. McClellan called you before when he was deal ing with this issue, didn't he? And asked you about all these things.
I believe so, yes.
And in his response, I'm looking at it right here and it said, he had clean shirts in his cell at the time of the photo, but defense chose to photograph him in his dirty shirt in order to curry up sympathy in the public eye for the defendant. I didn't have any choice on what he was wearing that day, did I?
You did not.
So I didn't choose to photograph him in that circumstance, did I?
Well, you chose to photograph him, yes.
But it wasn't prompted by me that he was wearing that stuff, was it?
I'm not sure what it was prompted by.
Are you aware of any? Well, first of all, this vest that he's wearing today, you know what this vest is?
Ballistic vest.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the technology involved in these?
I mean, I'm familiar it's a ballistic vest.
Is it basically a shocker collar? Is there an electric charge that you can use or not?
Is there electric charge built into that vest?
Yeah. I don't know.
If it's a stun vest?
This vest.
I'm not sure what type of vest it is.
Is there some kind of belt on him that has an electric charge that you employ if there's a safety issue?
There should be one during transportation.
There is?
I'm not sure what's on him now. During transportation, if the CERT team decided to use one, that's pretty standard.
Okay.
Very standard.
Do you know that your staff had him on a leash when they brought him into visitation the other day?
A restraint chain?
It looked like a leash to me. It was like what you'd be.
We don't call it a leash, but a restraint.
Well, it's the same purpose, right?
It's for control.
Just like you would control a dog if you put a leash on them?
Just like we control the other 255 offenders.
Just like you would control a dog if you put a leash on them?
That's not correct, sir.
Nothing further.
Thank you, Warden. You may step down.
You're welcome, ma'am. Judge, the state has no other witnesses.
Any rebuttal witnesses, Mr. Rossi?
No, ma'am.
Argument.
Judge, this ended up right where I thought it was going to be, and I'm just going to point the judge to the law, the court to the law. I mean, That's what matters here is the law. 35-33-11-1 requires that there be some speculation about this, but that there be some imminent threat of serious bodily injury or death, or that he represents some substantial threat to the safety of others, and there has been, not before the order was signed by Judge Diener, or after the order was signed by Judge Diener, not an iota of evidence to suggest that there's an imminent chance of serious bodily injury to anybody or any circumstance. I sympathize and understand fully how this happened. That's not the defense's beef today. Clearly, we had a lot of people that were dealing with some circumstances that they hadn't dealt with before, and clearly, they were making some decisions on a rush. And clearly, when you do that, you have a tendency to do some things that maybe, when you look back, you're like, oh, I probably would have handled it a little differently. But the problem here is that there was an attempt to cure this, to make it right, to get him in a situation that was a healthier situation long before this thing kind of went off the rails, and essentially, that attempt was kiboshed, for lack of a better word, by the Sheriff Liggett, who told you today he wasn't gonna agree because he couldn't transport. Now, let's get back to the foundational legal issues. The first one is that they haven't met their burden of proof. I've argued to the court already that there's a due process issue here just simply because there was no judiciary finding of any kind or any evidence ever introduced to support the initial order that was entered. And if you look at the initial order, it very much mirrors. And this is all starting to make sense to me now, because it was done by, sounds like, the same person. But it all mirrors the request by the sheriff, and it's all about speculative safety concerns and all those kind of things, which again, I understand that. I understand why they had those concerns. But that doesn't meet the legal standard to put him in a maximum security facility where he is treated and housed, frankly, in the same sense as the most heinous criminals in the state of Indiana. He's the only pre-trial detainee in 5, 6, 7 years of experience for these officers that got up here that's ever been in that circumstance. And the state wants to come in today, the state, who, frankly, agreed to move him at one point, now is coming in, Mr. McClellan doing his job, and I understand that the sheriff's department is part of his bailiwick, but they want to come in today, and they want to compare his circumstances to that of the guy who's down the hall from him who's a convicted child molester, 3-time murderer, or whatever it is. You've heard all that, all the crimes that these people have committed. That's not the comparison. Under the Equal Protection Clause in the 14th Amendment, we're comparing him with the circumstances under which her pre-trial detainees are detained. You can't put someone in Guantanamo Bay and say they're getting treated the same as the next inmate in Guantanamo Bay. Doesn't work that way. That's not what the Equal Protection Clause is about. It's about treating him like other pre-trial detainees who are similarly situated, people in the Cass County Jail, people in the Tippecanoe County Jail, frankly, people in the Carroll County Jail. Just like Officer Leesenby said, they've had other people charged with murder in these counties. This isn't the first pass. And so don't fall for that trick of, hey, we're treating him just like the guy down the hall. Because that's the wrong comparison, it's not the right analogy, and that's not what the Equal Protect Island Clause requires. The due process argument is also a 14th Amendment argument. It basically is similar in that he was not afforded any due process because there was no evidentiary hearing, there was no standard set, it was just an order that was struck by the former judge in this case. And so we would rest our arguments on that, as well. The 6th Amendment claim, and I think the court probably senses where we're going with this, but he has a right to counsel, and that right extends to privacy, and some convenience, and just his overall ability to communicate with us, so that we can defend him in some reasonable manner. But what the court has learned today is that, first of all, just demographically, I should say geographically, it's an hour and a half drive just to get to his same airspace, and that's just to get to the front door. Beyond that, there's layers upon layers of security we've got to go through, and eventually, when we do get access to him, it's in a setting that's not overly comfortable, not overly convenient. We've been, different places, different times, but the bigger problem is that we have no privacy. There is no privacy when we're meeting with him. We show up at the jail one moment and we're taking our cell phones in the prison, and the next moment we show up and we gotta take our cell phone to the car. And we come back the next week and we walk in and we've got a jail officer, correctional officer, following us around with video cameras. I mean, it's the most bizarre thing that's ever happened to me in the 20 years I've been doing this. I still can't understand this, but basically, we're meeting with him. He's sitting in the middle of the room in a plastic chair that they chose to sit him in, not one of the half-padded chairs that was sitting right next to us, and they've got a video camera affixed on us for a half an hour or an hour in an 85-degree room, whatever it is. None of this is convenient. None of this facilitates an attorney-client relationship. You feel like you have no privacy. You feel like you have no ability to communicate with him in any sense, with any sense of confidentiality, and, at this point in this case, we are consumed, as a defense team, with dealing with his detention. We're barely consumed with the facts, and it is starting to get to the point where it's overwhelming. We have not the time to focus on the things that are important, which is the guilt and innocence phase of this case. All we're dealing with are DOC attorneys, wardens, captains, correctional officers. We go up there, and we get to ride in the back of a van on a wheel well. I mean, and I get it, the people who are doing this are nice, but we get transported in a van, and we sit on a wheel well in the back of a van. That's how we get to him. It's gotta stop. And I'm asking your honor to intervene, and I think, hopefully, what you heard today is, look, there could be a combination of a couple of things here. We could find a facility like Cass County, which is a 2-minute walk from my front door and much closer for Mr. Baldwin to visit, and we could use the DOC, because you have the power of the pen, to transport him. They could still do that. It would remove 90% of the burden on them of having to detain him and dealing with people like me, frankly, 'cause I think they're tired of me, and I don't blame them, but I have a job to do. And that would be a nice combination of both. We could employ the state police. They have invested so many resources in this case. The idea that they couldn't somehow pick him up from a county jail and drive him down the highway a few miles to the courthouse is just, that's beyond me. I don't know how you could explain that away. I mean, clearly, the Y have the ability to do that. This is not rocket science. I'm just asking the court to intervene, recognize that his basic fundamental rights, he's being deprived of those, and to fix this situation. Confessions, non-confessions, incriminating statements, yes, non-incriminating statements, however you want to phrase all that, we'll deal with that, and, a jury's gonna hear about all that when the time's right, but right now, we're talking about the rights of a pretrial detainee. And there is a lot of case law in this. I spent some time looking at that. Most of it's referenced in my pleadings. I think the foundational case. Give me 1 second here so I can find my case law. One of the foundational cases on the due process issue, the equal protection issue, is Rim versus Malcolm, and that citation is 507 F.2d 333. It's a 1974 case. It's good law. It's been around for a long time. And basically, What you're gonna find if you read that is that he is to be compared with other people that are similarly situated to him, not people who are on, as I coined it, death row. That's my term, that's my phrase, but it's not inaccurate. He is to be compared with other people in his situation, and that's what I'm asking the court to consider and grant our request to. Essentially, remove the safekeeping order altogether or modify it to another circumstance that's much more amendable and allows us to represent him, and it's much for convenient, so we can get on with the real merits of the case.
Mr. McClelland, before you go.
Sure.
Mr. Rozzi, you've raised your Sixth Amendment right to counsel that extends to privacy and convenience, but your argument seems to focus on your convenience. When you were appointed by this court, Mr. Allen was already at the Department of Correction, so you were well aware, as was Mr. Baldwin, of the hour-and-a-half drive and the layers of security that would be imposed. Nobody asked DOC if they would transport, just if they were available to transport. So we don't have the answer to that particular question, correct?
I don't know that I specifically asked them that.
You didn't.
It certainly wasn't intentional.
That's why I'm saying you didn't ask him that. And I don't know if anybody's asked ISP either. Has anybody asked ISP?
I haven't. I don't think it's my job.
Okay.
Judge, I guess just to be candid,
Okay.
I did talk to an ISP official over lunch and said, "Is that possible?" And the answer I got was, "We don't know."
Okay.
I mean, that was not enough time to figure that out.
I just want to make sure that we're all talking apples and apples, not apples to oranges.
Sure.
You've also argued that he's being denied basic fundamental rights. Which specific fundamental rights is he being denied?
I don't think I said that he was being denied basic, I thought.
You did.
The Fifth, the 14th Amendment, and the Fifth, Sixth Amendment argument are the arguments I'm making with the court.
Okay.
And I've pled those in my pleading.
Okay.
Very clearly. I think maybe I'm grouping those things together.
Okay. Thank you. And then, the citations to your authority, you have cited the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, District Court in Massachusetts, Ohio, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, the California Circuits, Connecticut Circuits, and Missouri Circuits. Do you have any Indiana law?
No. I just offer up federal law that.
Okay. So all that you've provided to me is federal law?
Yes.
You've not cited any state law?
Yes. I think it's prevailing federal law, I do.
And I have no problem with federal law, but you've cited no Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, which controls our circuit.
Nope.
Okay.
That's what I found.
Is there any?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Mr. McClelland.
Thank you, Judge. As I said in the beginning, the state's in a unique position. The state doesn't have a huge concern of where he's housed. The state does believe he should be held without bond, and we believe that because of the evidence we've collected, the evidence that's been presented to the courts in various pleadings, the multiple confessions to multiple people, we believe that the evidence is strong. By preponderance of the evidence, the proof of guilt is evident, and the presumption that he committed these heinous acts are strong. And so as long as he's held without bail, the state doesn't have a real concern. I suppose it's the lawyer in me that wants to argue more than anything, but Mr. Rozzi brought up 35-33-11-1 and the desire to scrap the safekeeping order altogether. I don't see any provisions within that chapter that say if you scrap the safekeeping, the defense then gets to choose what facility he's in. If the safekeeping order is scrapped, he comes back to Carroll County. I don't see anything other provision that says the defense gets to choose what facility he's in. I may have missed something, but I looked through that chapter with some extensive research and didn't find anything. And so if the safekeeping order is scratched, He comes back to the charging county, which is Carroll County, and that's where he's to be housed if the safekeeping order is scrapped. And so I think the court, to me, when I read the motion, I think the court hit the nail on the head, that this is about convenience for Mr. Rozzi. We don't want the safekeeping order, the sheriff hadn't met their burden, you should get rid of it, but we really want you to modify it to Cass County, so he's right next door to where I'm at. We heard the Cass County sheriff testify, we heard the DOC warden testify. It doesn't sound like his situation in either facility is going to be much different. He's going to be videotaped 24 hours a day in Cass County. He's not going to have face-to-face visits. He's going to have all the same amenities and maybe even less in Cass County than he has in DOC. And I say that because in Cass County, he's not going to have 24-hour medical or mental health facility or people there to look after him, and so he's going to be in a worse spot for his safety in that respect. He's not going to have those, conveniences at his hand 24 hours a day. The Cass County Sheriff said those are only there, 4 hours a week for mental health and maybe 12 hours a week or 12 hours a day for the medical. And so I don't think the situation is much different from Westville, as opposed to Cass County, except for geographic area and convenience for Mr. Rozzi. And so again, Judge, we leave it to the court's discretion. You've heard the concerns of our sheriff about transport, about housing, about his safety, and so those are the main concerns I hear from the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. Are there other options for transportation? Possibly. I don't know what those are at this point, and so I can't comment on those, Judge. So that's the state's standpoint at this point. Thank you.
Anything else?
Judge, just a couple of comments, reactions. First of all, the prosecutor again is sitting here talking about multiple confessions. You're gonna hear, at some point, what he's talking about. This is one of those things where, at 1 minute, Rick Allen's saying one thing, and just 2 seconds later, he's saying something else. It's all very generic. This is not some, inquisition where he's finally given up and thrown in a towel, and he's just confessing. This is not that. And I've listened to what he's listened to. The second thing is, I asked that the idea that somehow the Cass County Jail's not an option, that's just me offering up an alternative. I would think that if any lawyer came in and asked for relief in the form of some prayer, that you would want to know what's the relief. And so I am just offering up a suitable circumstance to the court that might fit. I've even suggested loosely today that the White County circumstance wasn't that bad. Everything seemed to be fine there for the week that he was there. It's accessible. It's not very far. It's actually closer to this courthouse. Anything to make this a little bit easier. And then we get into the issue of convenience for me. Okay, so the idea that Mr. Baldwin or I have to travel great distance and deal with all these layers of security and the changing rules and all these other circumstances, including having our own visits videotaped, is somehow okay. I'm trying to put him in a situation where we can have reasonable contact with him with reasonable notice and represent him like the rules of professional conduct require me to represent him. And so, to the extent that it's convenient for me, it's convenient for him. And that's what's important, is what needs and what rights does he have. And him being accessible to us, without having to go through all these hurdles, and having some of the modern amenities like water when we meet with him, and not having him shackled up like this when we're trying to talk to him, having a computer in front of us, so we can show him the thousands of hours of witness statements and other things. Those aren't amenities, those are basic human rights, basically. And that's what we're asking for, is just get us in a situation that's functional. We're not asking to put him at the Holiday Inn. And I don't see any reason why we're not there. Nobody's really objecting. It's just that we can't get a van back and forth between 2 counties. For Christ's sakes, we almost put a guy. We put a guy on the moon 40 years ago. We can drive the van around from Cass County to Carroll. I don't really see a problem with that. It's really frustrating. You can sense that from me. I just want to get on with the case and get him in a better circumstance, and that's what I'm asking you to think about.
Okay. And in all fairness, Mr. McClelland, I don't hear that the defense is asking to scrap the safekeeping order. The motion is, clearly, to modify the safekeeping order.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take the arguments and the evidence under advisement and review the case law that you have submitted to the court. What else?
Judge, did you want to have a...
Can we approach briefly, Judge?
Yeah, come on up.
meeting in chambers or...
Well, come on up here for just a second, because I think...
Sidebar conference conducted.
What did you want to do with your motion for TRO?
Well, I'm just asking the court to order that it not occur.
Not to video, because it's the videotaping, right?
It is.
Okay.
I mean, I have no problem with the camera in the corner.
And they've stopped doing it.
As part of the normal.
Okay.
But this is not that.
No. Well, it is kind of, but it's...
Well, not when they're sitting 2 feet away from you, it's not.
That's being dramatic.
Video.
You weren't there.
I wasn't, but...
I get it. What else?
Inaudible.
Yeah.
Then today. Did you want to make that now, or did...
Well, I want to wait until they file something, but I do want to pick trial dates today, okay?
Inaudible.
The continuing, inaudible. And then, you want that on.
Well, I'd almost like that on the record. I was hoping to address it.
What do you mean?
Well, all I want is just an order telling whoever is detaining him they have to give us his records.
Give us his medical records.
Without me going through all the...
All right. And if you put at issue.
But I don't want to give it to him.
But if you put it in issue and you continue to put it in issue, then you're gonna have to give it to him.
If I file a request for a competency eval and argue he's not competent, certainly he's gonna get them. I mean, I don't.
But you can't have it both ways, Brad. You can't keep saying it and saying, well, if I do this, because what you're doing is you're alleging, in several of your motions, that he is teetering on the verge of...
Yeah.
Incompetency.
Right, I agree with that, but I don't know because I haven't evaluated any of this.
So you haven't seen it?
Absolutely.
So as soon as you get it, then...
No, I haven't had a call about, hey, your clients, doing this or doing that.
All right. Well, then I'll grant the motion, I'll grant both of them, but with the understanding that stop talking.
I'm teetering on the brink of.
Stop talking about it.
I will.
If you're not gonna proceed with it.
If I can get them.
Okay? All right. Then, we have the X part and that will be done after everybody's out of here, but we do need dates for the trial.
Do you want to pick an omnibus date as to that?
Well, today was the omnibus date. Unless anybody's gonna stand on formality with an omnibus date, which we've blown completely out of the water.
Sure.
I'm not gonna worry about it.
No.
As long as I get you on the record, with your client's consent, waiving any issue about omnibus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a formal filing for motions, and I don't stand on the formality of that. I don't care, unless you care?
I don't.
Okay.
Inaudible.
Oh, yeah, I don't care about that. I'm available whenever, but I left my calendar and stuff in there. Can you go grab that? It's the big, thick calendar you printed. Do you have dates, that we can at least do dates? Don't EE.
I've got my calendar.
Go ahead.
July 1st is fine. We'll start there. I feel like...
I don't know that.
You know, I'm ready to put everything else down.
Okay.
And just do it.
Sidebar conference concluded.
We're just gonna go ahead and pick trial dates then, please. All right. So I will, without argument, without a necessity for an additional hearing, you have filed a motion, Mr. Rozzi, Mr. Baldwin, for a temporary restraining order on the Department of Correction with the use of cameras while you are meeting with Mr. Allen, and I think that's fair. I'll grant that. I'll also grant your motion for the Department of Correction to provide Mr. Allen's medical records without necessity of a hearing. And then, we do need trial dates. Jody stepped out. I left my calendar and stuff out there. I know that the defense is going to be filing a supplemental motion for suppression, and you'll file the notice to the state on the Franks versus Delaware issue. And then, what kind of trial dates are we looking for? Because we get to trial dates, we also chatted up here just a moment ago about the omnibus date. I know it's a statutory deadline for filing of motions. Unless the state's gonna holler and scream about a deadline, I don't stand on formalities as it relates to the time limit. I think as a former prosecutor and a former practicing attorney, I think that always kind of hamstrings people. And today was supposed to be our omnibus date, but obviously, you have additional motions that you're going to be filing. As long as Mr. Allen waives any issue with an omnibus date, I'll allow motions to be filed.
I think what we're doing is agreeing to EXT and the omnibus date, practically, right?
Practically.
I just talked to Mr. Allen and explained, generally, what we're talking about, and he's like, I asked, "Do you trust what I'm saying, my advice?" He said yes.
Okay. So there's no issue with the omnibus date being extended for purposes of filing motions and stuff. But before we part, I do want to set trial dates, and then, when we're done with this, I'd like to address the ex parte motion that counsel filed earlier, which again, ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to leave the courtroom, the state will also be leaving the courtroom, and we'll address an ex parte just with counsel and the court, excluding the state and participants.
Understood, Judge, or Your Honor.
Trial dates?
Judge, I think on the defense side, we're going through it as quickly as we can. We still have at least one hard drive of evidence, if not more, that we have to go through, so it's a laborious process, and we got lots of people working on it. So I don't want the court to think we're not working hard, we absolutely are. So it's really hard for me to gauge, and Brad, I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's hard for me to gauge. We would like to get this trial done as soon as possible, on one hand. On the other hand, you get one shot at this, typically. We don't want to go in without knowing everything that we need to know, so I'm open to suggestions.
Judge, just so everybody's on the same page, I told Mr. Rozzi this as well, but there's additional discovery coming per some subpoenas that were granted by the court, and so we're going to get that stuff to the defense as soon as possible, just to point out that we continue to get discovery in and we're continuing to send it off to the defense.
Okay.
May I?
Are we looking at this year still?
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Are there any administrative hurdles that maybe we haven't talked about that are a problem with scheduling that, You come from another county, you got other things going on.
As I shared with you, I have at least 20 other pending murder cases and a docket this is my calendar till the end of the year.
Okay.
There are 688 entries on my calendar till the end of the year for trials and pre-trials, mostly trials. However, that being said, I have been granted unlimited senior judge days by Chief Justice Rush, and I have a senior judge available to me. Pretty much when I ask for her, she can come cover my calendar. So if we're still looking at this year, I have unlimited access to a senior judge to cover my current docket.
We would ask for a January date.
January, okay. Can you get me to next year? There's no calendar up here for, the year, and I don't have my phone with me, so Jody's got me on calendar. All right. I'm assuming 2 weeks for trial. I don't know how long.
I would say easy.
Easy 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Yeah, I would say that's probably.
We need to plan for 3 or more.
3?
I think the longer this gets pushed out, the longer the trial's gonna be.
Well, that's on y'all. What about January 8th through January 26th, understanding that jury seal tie-in will take place up in Allen County? At some point, we'll have to talk about specialized questionnaires. I have one of the most sophisticated jury systems in the country, so I can provide to you an extensive venire and questionnaires, but I'm assuming that counsel will wish to have a specialized questionnaire sent to that venire, and I'm happy to accommodate that.
Judge, those dates are available from the state's perspective at this point. That's far enough in the future. I don't have anything on my calendar. We do have a holiday in between that week, I think, but...
There, I think Martin Luther King Day is sometime in there, but I'm sure that you would all appreciate a day off.
Sure. I absolutely agree, Judge. Just gotta bring it to the court's attention.
Those dates are fine with the defense.
All right. So we'll schedule trial for January 8th through the 26th of 2024. We'll take the 8th, 9th, and 10th perhaps to select the jury, maybe the 11th, as well, again, up in Fort Wayne, and we'll play that by ear. I know that we're gonna visit again before that date and time, clearly.
Very good.
Anything else before we adjourn this record, Mr. Rossi? Mr. Baldwin?
No, ma'am.
No, Judge. Thank you.
Mr. McClelland?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much for your advocacy on behalf of the state, on behalf of the defendant. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to move to the ex parte part of the proceedings, and everybody will have to leave the courtroom. This concludes the proceedings had at Safekeeping hearing.